Good evening, Seekers. Apologies for the late video announcement and postage. This physical body has not been in the best of shape. Medical issues and the such, but however, I have broken free from the shell and I have returned to give you all fun reactions. Or so I would like to imagine. Unfortunately, after over 4 hours of recording, the audio and video seem to have not been recorded at all. And so instead of re-recording everything, I have decided to allow you all to watch all 3 videos here while I pretty much catch you all up on what you all have missed at the same time. So, during this recording session, I had gone over episodes 5 and 6. We will be going to episodes 7 and 8 today. So like that, we at least have everything done at the same time, and we can finally continue forward with other reactions and analysis videos and the such. This has been a brand new journey for me, and so I hope that you all will stick around with me as we eventually leave the Freak Show analysis behind and move on to something greater, even in the horizon as well. But until then, let us continue. So, in episode 4 of Freak Show, right over here actually, this is episode 4, episode 5, and episode 6 is down here as well. There really wasn't much, as I mentioned during a lot of our reactions as well. I tend to try to pick whatever moments seem the most important for them, and sometimes it could just be a lot of them at the same time. I'm not really going to be of high judgment for everything there as well. However, despite that fact, I'd say episode 4 was a pretty good success. We had discussed the aspect of masking. I had mentioned during our reaction during that time that when it comes into masking, it is typically something that is found within those that have a high amount of depression. Throughout most of the reaction as well, we talked about what it means to really have friends, what it means to really understand our position and our influence on others as well. We also used a new founding version of Gloria Wilcox's 1982 Feelings Wheel. Sorry, Gloria Wilcox's 1982 Feelings Wheel, a more I would say expanded and complex version of that as well. And we use that entire wheel throughout most of the episode to pretty much talk about what each emotion was and pretty much what it really meant, how it connects to essentially what has been changed about Rev throughout most of the episode as well. We also mentioned the concept of pluralistic ignorance, which is essentially a social concept that pretty much means that we are pretty much less aware of how others observe us, right? We like to take charge in a lot of our actions, right? We are very egocentrical individuals within society. And as such, we feel as though we are in full control over our own reality, which in often cases we are. But in this entire case, it talks about how individuals seem to really understand or really live in this alternative reality of theirs, right? That is actually one of the aspects that I forgot to actually note down, which is a big conversation that we had towards the aspect of objective reality and alternate reality. Now, we're not talking about multiversal aspects here, obviously, but we are talking about the ways that we perceive the world, right? So this is essentially the factual perception of the world that we inhabit. So we're talking, of course, about the laws of physics, rules of society, and our own current placement as a whole. So an adult will realize that they have more responsibilities than that of a child, etc., right? And the big reason why we mention this within our videos as well is simply due to the fact that a big part of the entire concept of, well, Rev's entire journey so far in the story has been the fundamental element that he is in control of his agency, that he is in control of his own sense of self, his own image, his own physical form. Every single action and belief that he has pretty much been a large sentiment towards why he does what he does a lot of the times. Even if his actions are a lot more stubborn and a lot more of the rude kind, it makes a complete amount of sense that that would be exactly how he perceives a lot of those entire notions. And so, because of that, we led into this entire idea that while Rev does understand the objective reality, a large part of his and anybody in the world's own process of action is primarily through the alternate reality. And the alternate reality is essentially a subjective force of process towards which we understand our own placement through a labeled framework and rules. And so what ends up happening is that you create this entire situation where we see Rev as this stubborn and like completely, you know, brought upon person who does not really let others come close to him, right? And there is a level of pushback that he has towards anything whatsoever. And this does make sense. A large part of his characterization is precisely just that entire figurehead. And so what ends up happening is that we have pretty much what I mentioned here was this allocentrism as well, right? Which, as you can see here as well, I'm just kind of putting the main notes that I took from the videos as well. But we talked about how when we essentially perceive ourselves with other individuals, right? We tend to understand that, like, okay, well, what can we gain from this entire fundamental process, right? We surround ourselves within our social areas, our social groupings and stuff, and we often have our own kind of placement there. And what essentially ends up happening is that we have an influence on those around us, right? This is more of a generalization as I'm going down this list. I'll kind of pick pieces from each one of the videos that we pretty much had our conversation within as well. But allocentrism is essentially what we talked about as the highest point in which Rev can essentially reach his what we can call his full potential, essentially. And this is essentially when a person has a harmonic kind of retribution on other individuals. We are aware of their needs and we are sensitive to their value, right? Allocentrics, as we see down here, are sensitive to social norms, which is essentially knowing the rules and the collective experience of everyone within the group as a whole as well. Pardon me for a second. The second attribute of this entire concept is loyalty. Now, loyalty essentially means that if a person needs help, you'll be there for them. If a person is in a dire situation, you will be able to provide any level of assistance at all. And it pretty much allows us to really signify what it really means to be of that entire mindset at the same time. And of course, the last one is an interesting one as well, right? People who are allocentrics are typically defined by their relationships. They are an individualistic counterpart to cultural collectivism, which is essentially the holistic approach to how we live our everyday lifestyles and our rituals and anything within that kind of framework of being together in a unified team, essentially. But one of the major aspects of Rev's placement within the fourth episode, right, was essentially towards Sarah and towards Mark, right? A large part of this entire like grouping was that he had found his pretty much clique, his entire manufactured understanding of what it really means to be part of this entire collective friendship. However, because Rev has been so isolated, I would say, from the rest of like society, and he's been, and we talked about this before in the pilot and such, where because of his isolation and his parents only pretty much giving him praise, and even when he talks back, they aren't as strict with their regulations. Rev has, of course, developed this egocentric nature where he believes that if something is strange, right, again, any aspect of his alternative reality therefore becomes objective reality as well. Now, this happens quite often to any one of us, but with Rev, it's a lot more easier for that trigger to occur because of that fact, right? Typically, those that are, of course, more isolated from society tend to format their own rules or their own beliefs about the world when it's either given to them by their close family or their friend group or whatever the case is, or it is given to them by their own sense of self. Now, we mentioned before how when it comes into a large part of building connections and building the social area, we have to be aware of those around us. And with Rev, that's still something that does occur. However, one thing that he does not understand is that his influence is so fundamentally strong, as we are going to see in episode 7 once we reach there, that it no longer has a isolating effect, right? Yes, his stubbornness does push people away, but even then, as we saw with Sarah, his aspect of fundamental active rage allows him to pretty much boost ahead in anything that is essentially in his way. And this makes a tremendous amount of sense, considering the fact that many students in this academy, Belladonna, Mark Jacula, and Seraphim, all three of them have a format of isolating and static kind of progression within their day-to-day lives. And so here comes Red, somebody who breaks through that status quo. We call them a nonconformist in the video, but a big part of his entire action is the fact of the matter being that a large part of his entire idea holds on to this entire scenario where no matter what really occurs, he's willing to go forward no matter what stands in his way. Even with Viviana, which we said a lot within episode 5 here as well, we said one of the biggest aspects of Rev is quite frankly this entire idea of him coming up with these entire solutions day after day after day. And because of that, you inspire someone there, right? And we said before that with Wendy, there is a complete opposite effect towards that as well, because of the fact that Wendy sees that every time somebody essentially adores him or follows through with his entire idea or whatever the case is, she develops a more hatred-induced quality to himself as well. And so again, that makes the most amount of sense too. Now, one of the major aspects that I mentioned before, even throughout most of the video, was my own entire concept that I had essentially written down during my time at university, which is what I call the latent collective identity. Now, throughout most of this entire aspect, we see that a person's influence is typically there, right? You meet a person within your everyday life and you'll have an impression of them. And even if you never see that individual again, that imprint is still left in your mind. So when you return, if you do recall that individual, that heuristical value could be there. Now, of course, heuristics are essentially automatic ideas about a concept, person, place, or thing brought upon by stereotypes and more efficient recollection. So it's essentially an easier way for us to understand that something has to be done. It goes hand in hand with, I would say, classic conditioning, because of the fact that once we learn something is good or bad, we tend to kind of replay that in our head. So even when we essentially go through with a level of change from our reaction to that, the initial process, the initial concept, the initial reaction essentially is still there. And that is why you'll see within fiction and media, even in real life, that when a person attempts to redeem themselves, like the villain or whatever the case is, or even with Rev here trying to progress into his level of development and defining as a person that does care about other people, that it takes a bit longer, because that heuristical value, that automatic thought in the back of our minds, it pretty much develops ourselves into a more situated resolve as well. But throughout most of episode 4, Rev essentially keeps saying that he does have a level of empathy. Now I said in the beginning of the video that we were focusing on morality during that recording, but I quickly changed I quickly corrected myself into saying that it was empathy. But we did have a small moment where we did compare what is morality and what is empathy. And we said before that morality is more so a broad concept that overcomes pretty much any living thing, because morality is essentially part of the pretty much requirement, right? And that led us to, of course, talking about the aspect of role responsibility and moral requirement in general. But we will get to that in a bit as well. But back to what we were saying before, the concept that I developed with latent collective identity is pretty much the way that I explained it, right? Small imprints of social behavior and identity framework are left in the recollection of those that interact, right? And again, like, we build ourselves to a larger degree, even if it is unconscious. That's the whole point, right? Is that it remains latent within the back of everyone's minds, but it is a fundamental network that connects to who we are as a person, right? So, for example, if you go talk to, let's say, your friend, and they see you as someone who is caring, but then you go into your, let's say, old lady neighbor, right, and she sees you as someone who is a troublemaker. And then you go to your mom, and she sees you as somebody who is hardworking, right? Again, altogether, that leads up to a identity that we have built for ourselves as well. Even if it is or isn't necessarily our true personality, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because it builds up to this entire understanding that we are part of these entire pretty much recollections of who we are as people as well. And so again, it makes the most amount of sense to really build up this entire reasoning as to something that pretty much has to be part of his entire process throughout most of these videos as well. And so that brought us to, of course, emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence, I mostly brought it up within episode, I believe it was 4, because I think 5 was something else entirely. But within episode 4 here, we built on this entire idea of what is emotional intelligence, pretty much in general. And we said that when it comes to emotional intelligence, that is an entirely different fundamental aspect that we essentially have. So emotional intelligence, of course, is being aware of other people. It pretty much reconnects back to what empathy itself really is. The connection and understanding of how other people really work around us and how we can better be suited to help others as well as to, in a sense, I would argue it's not necessarily helping ourselves, but it is something that is fairly close to that entire process as well. But in any case, though, emotional intelligence we saw before has its own kind of scaling. You have the positive scale of how we essentially interact with other individuals. And that leads into empathy, right? Connection with other people, an understanding of how they work, or at the very least, a want to formulate that kind of connection in general as well. Now, we said before during episode 4 that is a big part of the characters that have that is, of course, characters like Mark, people who are really pretty much capable of understanding other people, right? But we said before that when it comes into Mark, he has a lower sense of course, social boundaries. And he's not really as aware of anybody else around him as he is towards the conceptual aspect of what are positive feelings and wanting to achieve that kind of goal. I even mentioned throughout the video that, as I say, all the other videos as well, Mark has what I would consider to be the least amount of characterization or really a defining quality in terms of how he really works. But again, I wouldn't necessarily say that that is without its own kind of processing as well. In the neutral scale, we have something that we call continuous regulation, which I said in the real world, we see that through shifting hormones, pregnancy, or even the search for compatible social areas, like within high school. But continuous regulation is essentially us trying to figure out what is our placement within the world and how do I feel about other people around us. Do I care? Do I not? Do I have a more selective social awareness than most people would normally have? And those questions are essentially what brought us to the conclusion that continuous regulation of emotions, of course, fits what I would say Sarah the most. Now, of course, we also mentioned in the Belladonna episode that Bella, I would say, especially now in the current moment in time, she's definitely a lot more in the positive scaling. But I mentioned during the last episode that, last as in like episode number 6, that Bella is also technically here in the neutral scaling, but this would be, of course, during her flashback when she was searching for a compatible friend, someone who really cared about her. And we said before that when we have a intensive responsibility, which is a concept in which we feel responsible for other people around us, it typically creates this sense where we are going to do anything it takes to really be part of this kind of clique of ours, right? A social area of sorts at the same time. But even despite all of that, it doesn't change the fact that no matter what really happens, there is this entire fundamental need for validation, right? That our efforts must have some sort of compatible meaning towards anything whatsoever, right? And of course, we have negative scaling with emotional manipulation. Now, we said before, of course, that had to do with Bella's bullies, obviously. And of course, good old Miss Wendy Indigo also has an extreme sense of emotional manipulation, especially when it comes to her whole, mimicking voices thing that she uses to always pretty much provoke Rev no matter what. But we said before, does Rev have an emotional manipulation? Where does he stand in the scale? And I think it's definitely, of course, in this middle ground as well, which makes a complete amount of sense considering the fact that Rev has I would say, low social value and low emotional intelligence. We also said before, I took some notes up here too last time, that when it came into Belladonna, we made these 2 new points, right? That she has human qualities and understands others around her. Considering that her responsibility switched to the ghost that she had accidentally killed by opening the Necronomicon and the Void Spirit, of course, taking over her entire body and killing all those around her as well. We also notice that she has high AQ. Now, I mentioned before that intelligence is a fairly broad statement to really have, especially when it comes into this entire connection that we share with other people around us at the same time. Now, I think it's one of those different methods that really makes a lot of sense when you really think about it, because we always have this entire understanding of the world through what we're taught as children, right? That we have the right brain, the left brain, right? We have mathematical principles and artistic values, and those are always separate, and some people have a higher amount than others, right? Again, all of us have pretty much heard that at least once in our lives, but of course it's been proven to be incorrect. Just as much as we don't use 10% of our brain, we use 100% of it. But some people have a stronger case for emotional intelligence. Some people have a stronger case for just intellectual quotients, right, or IQ. But we said before during this example that when it comes into Belladonna, one of the big things about her is that she has a high sense of academic intelligence, which you could argue is just IQ in general. But I think academic intelligence in this case, I was referring to the fact that when it comes into a school setting, she's very law-abiding. She behaves in tangent with the rules that are set upon her, right? She's a very, again, rule-oriented person as well at the same moment in time. And so it makes, again, the most amount of sense considering everything within it as well. Now, what happens when you add some other aspect to itself as well? Well, we said before that the second aspect of Belladonna is that she also has a low sense of, medium sense of emotional intelligence as well. And that makes sense, right? She passed the empathy test. She knows what empathy is. Similar to Rev, as we said in episode 6, she was also born within the human world. However, she was less aware of the monsters that were around her, although she did know a lot about the occult, and that seemed to be, of course, her main interest. And so because of that, she has a similar proponent to Rev at the same moment in time. And we said before, of course, at the end of the video, I was talking about the fundamental aspects of what it means to really be alone and be isolated, and how Rev definitely connected with that towards her at the same time. But again, despite everything else there, it doesn't really matter because of the fact that she still was able to do something that Rev wasn't, and that's finding some aspect of social connection, social accountability towards a lot of her actions, pretty much in general, right? And that brought us to, of course, one of the two concepts that we have pretty much introduced as well, which was role responsibility and moral requirement. Now, I said before that when it comes into role responsibility, as you can clearly tell here, if a person has the power and resources to help other individuals, then there is a necessity and civic duty that they will have to do so. Not necessarily under an aspect of absolute obligation, but rather because of the fact that no one else has that same kind of potential, right? Now, we said with Rev that with his unique perception of the world, that kind of falls into him to guide these other people around him who are, of course, not as human as him or even Belladonna are. And even with Belladonna, she's still, of course, influenced by him, both in, of course, a romantic sense, right? In a, you could even argue a platonic sense as well, because as I said toward the end of episode 6 as well, one of the major aspects of Rev's character is the fact of the matter of being, Belladonna's character is the fact of the matter of being that when it comes into friendship and romantic attraction, there kind of is a small middle ground where I think she's consistently within, because similar to Rev, she's more so isolated. So for her, it's more so by choice, right? With Rev, it was like growing up and then this, or even if he didn't grow up because he's Revenant, but it's being placed into a situation where you pretty much have almost no choice other than to do that, no matter what, And what occurs is that you essentially have this entire connection with pretty much everything around them as well, right? It builds onto this entire instance of like what it really means to pretty much be where we are in life, right? And I think that's a very important kind of situation to really become aware of at the same time. And role responsibility for Belladonna is incredibly important in the 6th episode, where because she has the power, she has the magic, she has the know-how, similar to Rev, she's highly intelligent towards the arts of pretty much everything. She's essentially in a position where she can exercise the ghosts, right? The spirits of her bullies, of the teachers, of the people that hurt her. But again, as Rev says at the end, that's not her obligation to do something, right? And we're going to talk in a bit about towards the end of that in terms of responsibility and everything. We will mention that as well. And as you can see here, of course, we have a pretty common understanding. You guys can probably not see that real quick. Hang on, let me move. Right here. Okay. As you guys probably have seen here before, we have the fight and flight response as well, which is essentially a physiological response that we have in our bodies towards any level of danger and fear. If you fight, you confront the source that is causing you this discomfort. If we choose flight, we're essentially running away. We are avoiding, pushing back on the situation itself. And of course, the more modern interpretation of the third option, we freeze, which is essentially being paralyzed by the choice of the given actions that are around us. And as such, we cannot make a decision. And so we decide to just not make a decision at all. Now, when it comes to Rev's entire circumstance, we see at the end of episode 4 that when Belladonna does her whole kind of puppy eye tearing up thing as well, he is incredibly uncomfortable by it and does not see, he does not want her to continue making that face, but then she questions why he does not leave at all. And so we said before that in that situation, he, of course, his body had chosen freeze, which is essentially being paralyzed with any aspect of what choice essentially can be there as well. But again, it did showcase that Rev, of course, had some level of empathy, right? And then, of course, that entire statement by Belladonna was contradicted in episode 6, where when she's trying to explain to Rev about why it is she's helping the spirits, and Rev sees it as a understandably dumb thing to feel sorry for people who made her life a living hell, she immediately kind of retracts that statement that she said back in episode 4 by essentially stating that, it's her own fault for trying to pretty much be aware of the fact that he could have gained any level of empathy in just one single day, right? And again, that is an undermining comment, but it does make the most amount of sense, especially for someone like her as well, who was all about taking accountability for her actions, right? Helping out people that are around her. It's entirely brought on by her want to assist other people, because she is a fundamentally good person, right? And it makes the most amount of sense to have that kind of idea behind her. But I don't know. I think it is a very interesting connection to really have at the same moment in time as well. We also mentioned 3 various paths in life that a person can, at the same time, really take, right? Now, I can't remember for the life of me where exactly I had made this entire statement in. I can probably find it by scrolling through these videos here as well, but when it comes into the different paths in life, we mentioned before that it is entirely the idea behind how a person will be able to execute their ways of living, right? Now, I believe that this was essentially the idea behind someone like Rev, where when you take the easy path in life, it is essentially the path of least resistance, something that we saw with someone like Sarah, who pretty much takes the least amount of effort possible to do anything. And I think we did mention this in episode 5 during the dynamics between Sarah and Rev as people, and as just this kind of duo trying to do all these things at the same time and together as well. And we said before that the secondary life, the kind of more other side of the scale, is the obsessive life, where we plan out every single aspect as well. Typically, we'll see that with people with high intellect, where they don't really slow down. They have an extreme want to get every single thing done, no matter what. And that leads into, of course, high amounts of burnout and paranoia towards not being able to really fundamentally change anything about it at the same time, right? But again, it makes the most amount of sense at a certain point in our lives to kind of realize that we need to slow ourselves down for a certain amount of time until we can get into a good pace in pretty much doing whatever it is that we're doing in our lives. And of course, the life that everyone should strive to contend for is, of course, the content life, which is essentially a middle ground where the fulfillment and satisfaction of living is met. I mentioned before there are various attributes on to how exactly we see those entire moments, but it does make the most amount of sense that we're going through this entire life trying to figure out what it is that we're attempting to facilitate, right? And I mentioned at the end of episode 5 that is pretty much what Rev, in a sense, almost realizes, right? That no matter what they do, Viviana is always going to know where they are, what they're doing and stuff. But instead of feeling hopeless about it, he accepts that challenge, right? He still is trying to go through with his plan of leaving the school and trying to escape it and go back to his everyday life. But again, it is that challenge against an endeavor that seems impossible that, again, that's exactly why Sarah is so inspired by him, why Mark and why Belladonna are so inspired by him, because he has a drive. He has determination, if not a bit stubborn, but he has determination to do whatever he can, whatever it takes to pretty much escape this unfair situation, right? And so content lives is essentially being aware that there is going to be struggle, that there is going to be challenge, and there is going to be unfairness within your life, but to not let that stop you, not let that essentially change the way that you essentially work in every single moment of your entire existence, because that's all we can really hope for is an easier day, right? And it's up to us to really find that, honestly. But again, episode 5 and episode 4, I said before, I kind of skipped through any parts that weren't as important. And I know those of you that ship, of course, Belladonna and Mark, and Rev, sorry. Then I did skip through like the kissing and all that stuff, simply due to the fact that it wasn't anything that was as important as the lesson that was made at the end at the same time. And towards the end of the episode, I did say that one of the big things about Sarah and Rev's relationship that was actually something that I had a bit of concern for when I first saw it was the fact that Sarah just, forgave Rev's crash out towards her at all points in time. And we kept bringing up the fact that, like, yeah, when a person is angry or when they're feeling an extreme amount of rage, that again, it is similar to this entire idea behind what it really means to be aware of our choices, right? To feel sorry for what we do. And, we said before, right? Actions speak louder than words every single time, right? Like 11 times out of 10, that's always going to be what is going to, what's going to be true. What's going to be the case of this entire situation. And that, of course, moves us on to, of course, the last episode, which, as you can tell, had pretty much a lot more context to really work upon as well. But, of course, most of the episode was literally just skipping through a lot of what we recognize about the situation until we reached, of course, probably the most sad, I would say, moment of the entire series, which is when Belladonna reveals to us, of course, her entire backstory, her entire the reason why she's doing this, why is she exercising the ghosts and all that stuff as well. And if you guys hadn't watched that, we'll definitely go and see that episode. Probably one of the highest points of storytelling for this entire series. And that's saying something because I definitely feel like number 3 is definitely my favorite. But I even mentioned in the episode that I think episode 7 is objectively probably the best one. Simply due to the fact that not only is it the longest one, I believe, next to probably episode 8. But not only that, but it's just such a really, really good like storytelling element to really have. And of course, this episode is just really good at just giving Belladonna her full characterization. But again, it still made me feel bad because it made me feel like they didn't really do much with Mark. But who knows, right? Like maybe Mark is just his own person. In any case, though, we said that during her flashback, one of the main things that Belladonna exhibits is, of course, the ideal versus the idealized version of who we want to be. And of course, the ideal version is the variation of ourselves, right? We want to be popular, we want to be beautiful, we want to have friends, and we want to be the person that everyone thinks that we should be, right? And in a sense that you could argue that is Belladonna's kind of mindset, right? That I have to behave in a way that makes myself more appealing to other people. Now, again, she never does that, which makes sense, right? Belladonna has her own sense of dignity, her own sense of being true to who she is herself, right? And so, again, she wouldn't change herself for anybody because what would be the reason in doing that, really? And again, there is an extreme importance to realizing what it is that we can do and what it is that we should do, right? And again, there's nothing that's ever going to change that entire fundamental concept within ourselves, which then leads us to, of course, the idealized version, right? Now, that is the version that we essentially need to become, right? A big part of ideal and idealized variations of ourselves is the want versus the need, right? And of course, that is the aspect, right? Is that whenever we are in a desperate situation or we are in a continuous conditioned approach to helplessness, like Belladonna was throughout most of her life, we have this kind of small part of our brain, right? Again, going back to the aspects of heuristical thinking, we go back to one of the smallest aspects that we essentially begin our lives with, which is, of course, the id. Now, I mentioned this before, right? The id, the ego, the superego, these are fundamental aspects of our life through the development of how we are aware of ourselves and those around us, right? But if you recall, the id is essentially what individuals who are, of course, toddlers, young kids sometimes, even sometimes those that have a cognitive disorder that, does not allow for a proper regulation of emotions, right? And that leads into a small little click for that moment where our wants, the emotional aspects of wanting something, no matter what it is, returns to us for that small moment, right? So you want to be this ideal version of yourself. You want to be such a wondrous person that, again, you can't have any flaws at all, right? We are fundamentally engineered for those small moments to want to be that kind of Mary Sue, right? And that's just what makes it so fascinating when she doesn't let that really change who she is, right? She is still a kind and good person. She still has her interests. But again, there is that kind of small, like, what if, right? And we said before, right, that when she is essentially chosen as the prom queen, essentially, there is that small moment before they kind of tell her that there is that what if it was me, right? And she even admits that it is silly to rap, right? How it is silly to think that if you're constantly being bullied by people that they would ever choose you. But then again, it is a small little sprinkle of hope, right? And again, like we mentioned before, that is one of the moments to always expect disappointment and never be disappointed, right? A classic quote, but again, it makes a lot of sense at the same time because it is entirely about what it is that gives us a satisfaction, right? Our brain is constantly seeking it. So what happens when we finally give it what it wants? Well, we reach a point where we are then conditioned to chase after that kind of good quality or good satisfaction, right? I mean, that's the same thing with addiction to gambling or to drugs or to even smoking. Addictions are built on those kind of conditionings of the endorphins and the dopamine that goes through our brains every single aspect, every single time that we are given a kind of small dose of good quality. And again, it's such a fundamentally good thing that it just makes so much sense at the same time as well. But then we led into this entire idea where we achieve a more balanced approach to our interests and ourselves, where we are winding the unwinding of inter and intrapersonal reactions. Idealized versions are essentially, again, pretty hard to come by, right? Idealized versions of who we need to be is difficult to really find or to really understand because of the fact that, again, we're always searching for what makes other people like us, what makes us like ourselves, right? And that leads into a position where it's like we're constantly seeking this entire situation that could almost never happen, right? Not to say that it won't happen, period, but it is to say that it is a very difficult thing to really find for ourselves, right? And then, of course, we led into to the tragedy that was, of course, Belladonna's uh, first indoctrination, essentially, into Kade Academy after the void creature possessed her, and of course killed all her friends. And Mr. Lovecraft himself came by and gave her a small pep talk. Right, and I said the only thing that really caught my eye during that moment was the idea of there being monsters and there being monsters out there, right? And it is the aspect of course, empathy, right? Monsters are people who have zero empathy, people who do not care at all for other individuals in every single days of their lives, right? People who are true monsters will not hesitate to hurt someone, right? Not necessarily under an unintentional aspect, but with clear intention, right? And that's again, that is one of the reasons why sometimes monsters in fiction are less scarier than the people in our everyday lives, because there is a conscious idea behind all of those things pretty much at the same time, right? And again, like what ends up happening is that you have such a innate connection with everything that again it just makes the most amount of sense, honestly. And it's built on this entire understanding about what really happens during these different moments at the same time. And so when she did hurt them, we said before that, is this something that you would call fair, right? And we're not talking about fair for Belladonna, right? Because we know with Belladonna, this entire situation was unfair towards her, and she was put into a difficult scenario where she was pretty much taking control out of, right? Her involvement, absolutely, it's not entirely part of that, right? But we were mentioning this toward the end of the episode when Rev himself was telling her that like these people don't deserve um, her mercy, right? Her kindness, her empathy, and that her accountability shouldn't be for herself, right? They themselves should take accountability towards what they did to Belladonna, right? And we said before that this led into this principle of proportionality, right? Which I said before is mostly used in like court cases and court trials and such. During this principle, he essentially mentioned the aspect of low negative actions equating to low consequence, right? So essentially, if someone does something that's really petty, like, call someone a slur or even steal something from another person, as long as it isn't something that is extreme, the consequences are typically not as severe as anything else. And of course, the opposite is also true, right? Fundamental aspects, high negative actions equate to high consequences, right? But the question that I mentioned was, does the quantity supersede the quality of the negative action, right? So essentially, this has to do with what Belladonna had told the spirits after the fact, right? Which is essentially the entire idea behind the fact of the matter being that it does not necessarily, that it isn't as fair because of the fact that she spent, I believe, in years, or I don't know how long it was, as I said before, the end of her flashback towards the present moment in time. I don't know how many years, or even if it was even a single year, since she had joined this entire academy. She seems pretty like self in placed within the academy grounds. So, and she doesn't seem as, of course, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. She doesn't seem as, I guess you could argue timid, right? Yeah, because she definitely has built herself a lot more confidence than we see in the flashbacks. But again, like that's because she's filled in a place with people that are not only just like her, but individuals who pretty much are part of the interest that she has in the occult itself. And so it was essentially the quote that she said about having nightmares and feeling guilty for like what she did, and she keeps seeing their faces in her dreams every single time that she spent sleepless nights wondering what she could have done differently and stuff like that, right? There is an immense guilt that she feels, right? And so that was the question, right? Does the quantity, all these different moments where she felt so sorry for these spirits and she, took accountability of herself, even if it wasn't her, um, even if it wasn't like directly her who had killed them, right? She had indirectly, opened the book and done all these things, even if she wasn't aware of that, right? And that's entirely the reasoning that she has inside her own kind of mindset too. Um, but then we said before that a big part of these entire moments are negative actions coming along with karmatic retributions as well, and equating to then high consequences too, right? And we said before that a big part of court trials is the aspect of what we consider to be the law of equivalent exchange, right? And that leads into, of course, an approach that allows us to see both sides of the situation, right? Those that had inflicted the pain and the victims who had been given this amount of pain as well. And that kind of leads into a situation where it's like, oh, if something is bad, or if a person does a crime that is so severe that like it cannot be accepted, then the consequence itself must be so severe at the same time, right? Now, of course, we restrain ourselves because again, we are still a quote unquote civilized society. But again, in this entire situation, like, does that entire aspect be placed into her situation, right? Well, obviously, again, the reader, or sorry, the viewer in this case, is convinced that it shouldn't be, right? That it isn't something that we should consider to be fair or just, because why would it be, right? And we're talking about towards Belladonna, right? What Belladonna does towards the spirits, right? Towards the kids in her class, yes, it isn't something that should be allowed. But again, it's not her, right? And that is the kind of fundamental aspect. It is not her who makes that conscious decision. And that's kind of where the main difference really comes into as well at the same moment in time. But moral disengagement here is essentially what we said is the basis for how a lot of negative actions come to be there as well, right? And we said that actions here become more justified due to the karmatic retribution, which is essentially just the consequences themselves brought because of it at the same time. And it's essentially saying that, like, yeah, if someone does something bad, then more likely than not, we will feel as though that person deserves it due to that simple factor at the same time. But again, we said before that at the end of the day, a lot of what Belladonna does is pretty much understandable, or at least what the Void Creature does himself, right? But other than that, most of the other ones was just us reacting to, of course, the videos themselves and everything in between it. And if I do recall any other concepts, I will probably just bring it in during a lot of this segment, as you'll see on probably around this side of the screen or down here, where we will see any other notes that I have to make. This is a small little ramble because I have to get started recording in the last 2 episodes, but I do hope that this was at least satisfying enough, because you guys would have had to watch nearly 4 hours of videos to catch up on what you kind of see behind us here as well. But despite everything as well, I did enjoy a lot of these episodes. Of course, I think episode 6, definitely the strongest out of all of them. Episode 5, great entire aspect for ideas, but, if anything else here, I think it's entirely brought on by there as well. Now, I'll stay silent for a little bit, just so like that it gives you guys enough time to see these videos, and any other notes that you see on screen will be any ideas that I had forgotten to mention. So until then, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys on episode number 7. Welcome back, Seekers, to episode number 7 of Freak Show. As you have all seen previously, I had to do a little bit of voiceover work to ensure that everything flows by a bit properly. I do hope that the notes assist you all in understanding this entire concept that we are searching for. And speaking of, this episode is going to be one heck of a doozy, considering the fact that with Rev, well, I would say that this episode definitely serves as a defining quality towards everything that he does. But even still, immortality is something that we often take for granted in terms of what it can actually provide to us. Satisfaction, misery, something perhaps in between. Well, I suppose we're going to have to find out how Rev takes his own immortality into consideration when trying to finally escape both this life and this academy once and for all.
Miss Yaga? He's been down there a while. Should we, do something?
Oh, leave him to his dramatics. It'll be a cold day in hell the moment Rev Bennett finds a way to drown.
And again, immediately this episode starts off by pretty much showing us what's going to be the titular conflict going on here, which is, of course, Rev's own immortality. So far in the series, it's pretty much been kind of more so taken as like a joke where he just consistently tries to kill himself, and obviously it fails every single time. Again, there are other like medias that kind of show a similar thing with the character that is immortal. Constantly tries to kill himself. We kill themselves. We see that with like in characters like Deadpool from the second Deadpool movie, where it's a similar aspect. Though that one is more tragic than not. But even still, we just keep in mind that they immediately start mentioning that main conflict that we're going to pretty much be exploring within this entire episode.
I don't even care about this stupid class anymore. I'm done. All I need is that damn book, and I'll undo my curse. I just need to figure out how to get it.
You're oddly quiet.
Thanks for noticing.
You're welcome.
No, that's not... I meant... It's just... Rev, okay? It feels like he hates me. I mean, you get it too, right?
No.
Which is immediately, and I like how they make notice of this because, yeah, as we said before, all the way back in episode 3, and within my recording of episode 5, which you guys unfortunately weren't able to see, we discussed the dynamics between Sarah and Rev, and we also discussed, well, you guys already seen my reaction and stuff to episode number 2, where, and that one we talked about Mark and Rev's relationship in that entire situation as well. And it often is the case that, like, it makes enough sense because of that entire situation, right? Like, we often have our entire reactions to how we interact with other people. During my voiceover, I mentioned the latent collective identity, a concept that I myself had forged during my time in university. And in that one, it's all about how like we influence people even without us really noticing it, right? And you have aspects like pluralistic ignorance, where we often try to believe that others don't see us or don't really judge us and such, and that we are more so the viewer rather than being affected by that same viewing itself. But here it makes enough sense. As we said before, Sarah and Red's relationship is really pretty much close-knit, ironic enough because of this entire episode, but it is overtly close-knit because of the fact that, again, Sarah, in a sense, almost encourages Rev to continue doing what he's doing up until that capped limit that we saw all the way in episode 5, right? And so we know that Sarah herself has a limit as to what Rev will be able to do or not. And with Mark, we've seen that the only thing that he really offers Rev is this kind of friendship and kind of smothering of kindness that, well, not most people would really like, right? Most people wouldn't really like at all. And so because of that, it leads into a situation where, yeah, like Mark's relationship with Rev would be less than the one with Sarah, right? And so I like how they actually make note of it here as well at the same time. But again, like it showcases that like Rev's entire narrow focused mind makes a lot of sense considering everything else that he's been through. And so he would want someone who just is, goes along with whatever it is that he's doing versus Mark, who pretty much consistently tries to stop Rev from, going way too far in terms of his morality, versus Sarah, who stops him only at the aspect of self-destruction, right? But that is a very important aspect to keep in mind, too.
Okay. Well, that really makes me feel better. I know he's not obligated to be my friend, but I figured he'd warm up to me by now,
Which also really, again, I said before that when it comes to Mark, we don't have too much development with him, but this is a very, socially aware thing, right? He's not obligated to be your friend, right? And it's not like Mark really treats it as an obligation. I think Mark is just someone who, again, has been neglected by his family so much that he kind of craves that social stimulation. And so in a sense, it does make sense that he would want that to be, the main entire thing,
We're roommates. But I still feel like he avoids me every chance he gets. I was really looking forward to that field trip, but I think he just wanted to get away from me. It kinda sucked to see him come back with Bella after everything.
Don't worry. He made me miserable too.
And the trio finally comes together. Actually. But no, again, it is something that makes a lot of sense, right? It's all about how, it's my fault, right? And it's similar, right? Ironic enough, why we are seeing the queen of hyper responsibility, right? We are seeing the queen of that here right now, where you take accountability for another person's actions, when in reality, it's not even necessarily your fault. With Mark, you can kind of argue either way because he is more direct in his approaches to trying to befriend Mark or to befriend Rev. And, when that essentially happens, it's again, it blows up in his face, right? And so, that happens time and time again to the point where it's yeah, he's avoiding me, right? So, and again, he didn't even, comment on, Sarah also being the same one who also was avoided, by Rev, right? And so again, it's solely focused on him and his entire situation within this entire dynamic, right? And with Bella, you could argue it is the same thing, but again, he's a lot more focused than Bella in that episode, of course, considering that it is pretty much her own kind of self-contained episode. But even still, right, it showcases that with Mark, there is that similar aspect of pretty much sadness, considering everything else that happens, right? And you do feel bad for him. I'm not saying that you can't or shouldn't feel bad for him. It's to say that, yes, he does need to learn social limitation and boundaries and stuff. But as he said, right, he's quite aware of what is or isn't allowed in these kind of situations, honestly. Also, I like to know that, yeah, Bella doesn't even have a swimsuit on. Either this isn't her class or, she's, not even going to swim anyway.
Oh, hi.
Bella? Were you eavesdropping on us?
Eavesdropping? What? No, I was just sitting near you guys.
Why?
Because... Stop asking questions! Since we're chatting...
We are?
How did you...
It is, the reaction here is actually completely founded on, reasonability. Considering the fact that with Sarah, it's no one ever really chooses to talk or to sit next to her, right? Which again, she's completely fine with, but it's it's such a weird situation. With Mark, it's a similar thing, right? Typically, he's the one trying to befriend others, or he's the one who's more direct in his friendship, and yet here is this new girl, or he knows who she is, right? All of them know who she is, but it's here comes the genius of the class who's sitting down and isn't even empathizing, right? Where she even says don't worry, he also ruined the day for me and stuff, right? She's immediately starting with empathy, which again, we said before, she has the highest empathetic viewpoint. I'd say she probably out of the main cast of 4 characters, she has, I believe, the second highest EQ, emotional intelligence, when it comes into everything else that essentially happens there as well. But yeah, because Mark has, I would say, the highest amount of EQ, and then she would fall secondly into that as well. But yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Both of them are people who you would consider to be ones who don't directly go into the aspect of friendship, but again, it's indirectly given to them here. So of course they're going to be a bit more confused over, what is happening.
You two write about your midterms. Lovecraft said they're due today.
Oh crap! I totally forgot about that!
I didn't do it.
But what are you doing? This is worth almost our entire grade.
What was the assignment again?
I can't believe you two. You were supposed to write about something critical to your growth this semester. You know, the thing that made you a better version of yourself.
Huh. I don't have one of those.
What did you write about, Bella?
And again, like, and of course, we all have watched this episode, obviously, as I say, every single time we have these reactions. But that's the thing, right? Is that when it comes into this entire situation, like, yeah, we know that they're going to write that Mark was, or that, my God, I keep using Mark and Rev for some reason. That Rev was the person who had inspired them to become better people and like led to them growing as individuals, right? But like, yeah, why did like someone like Sarah say that when clearly Mark is that person who changed her entire life? Well, I think it's one of those aspects where even if something really important happens within our day-to-day lives, we tend to not focus on that as much until we have those moments of like recollection and clarity, right? Like take dreams, for example, right? When we sleep, we go through REM sleep, which essentially like, and again, we don't know too much about sleep and dreams and stuff like that. It's still a pretty, ironically enough, new topic for us. In psychology, in neurology, all these different fields are still trying to kind of see what dreams are actually used for. What we do know is a recollection of all the information that we've had from our day-to-day lives and our more recent memories, and it compiles them into an attempt to formulate a cohesive narrative to essentially allow us to, experience it through a different perspective. We don't really know what for, but it's a similar thing here, right? It's that we don't necessarily recognize these important moments until we have a specific like situation where it's like, okay, well now we understand why these things are the way that they are, but yeah, like, Bella being her studious self is not going to let these two, unprepared students go into class without the assignment done.
Well, I was gonna write about how my studies in alchemy class helped me.
Wait, you were going to?
Hang on. You didn't write your paper yet either, Bella?
Shut up! I had other things on my mind, okay?
Like what?
No one. I mean, nothing. Just forget I said anything.
Hey there, vampire.
Well, there is an immediate state of like, awareness of that. It's like, oh, well, this is one of the first times that, either Mark or Sarah have seen Belladonna being someone who isn't prepared or isn't ready, But again, like, I think that it is something that makes a lot of sense considering everything else that's going on, but I still think it's pretty fun, honestly. And here comes Narissa, right? And so, again, similar to what we said about Belladonna in episode number 6, last episode, actually, when it comes into her flashback, we said it before how a person who is attempting to become friends with others, right? Especially when you're in a state of desperation where you want to gain friendship or you at least want to be noticed by other people, we are pretty much placed in a situation where we are vulnerable enough to like any form of friendship, even if it is really, really unhealthy or someone has a bad influence on us as a person. We tend to not notice those situations, these kind of red flags, as some would state them to be. But like we're not as aware of that because we're in a state of desperation, which leads to a state of vulnerability, right? Again, our heuristical values, as I said in the voiceover, are completely pretty much overridden with the positive reinforcement that friendships essentially give us. And so here with Mark, we're seeing a similar aspect. What happens when someone who is pretty much in a small bit of a slump towards not being able to become friends with Rev or not even have a sense of company, minus perhaps Sarah, although even I would say, I don't know if Sarah and Mark would be considered to be friends here or necessarily even that close of individuals. But again, it's entirely part of this whole situation where like he's such in a state of vulnerability, even more than he is normally. I would say Mark is not the smartest person, even with his hyper sense of like empathy and social befriendment. Even with that, he's still a pretty vulnerable person. And so what happens when that vulnerability is even higher? Well, that means people like, as we're going to see here, Miss Narissa, are going to be a lot more capable to dig themselves into the minds of people who are not that smart.
Hi.
I think I remember seeing you at the football tryouts a while ago. You were the cute boy with the cat, right?
Cute?
Listen, Hottie, I'll cut to the chase. The school dance is coming up, and I figured I should bring a snack. What do you say?
Me? To the dance? With you?
What are you doing?
Mark is not a snack.
I wasn't asking you, Angel.
He's not available. Just move on.
Oh, you already sank your claws into this one, witch?
No! I was just...
Ugh, whatever.
Did she serious?
Again, even despite that, right? Even when I just said right now about not knowing whether or not Sarah and Mark would be considered friends, even still, Sarah is willing to protect the people around her, right? And same thing with Belladonna, right? With Belladonna, again, anything having to do with like friendship or empathy or anything about being a good person, you can pretty much say that Belladonna is all of that, right? But again, like here, we see that there is a protection, right? This friend squad, if you want to call it that, is willing to help each other out, right? And I like how they did it in this way as well, where it's not just, you kind of have these complaints about like, newer media and stuff when it comes into a character who's like overtly having this massive influence on people like Rev, where you'll have like all the characters pretty much, be obsessed over him or do everything for him, right? You kind of forget that like, there are other characters in the story. And so I like how we kind of see these moments where you're like, yeah, well, Rev doesn't care about Mark's entire safety, at least from their perspective. Sarah and Bella are, willing to protect them from, getting eaten by Nerissa.
Seriously ask me to the dance?
No, she wants to eat you.
Huh?
Nerissa sings is a siren, Mark. It's like this whole courtship ritual thing. She doesn't want to take you to the dance. She wants your gullible butt for her next meal.
What? No way. She was being so nice just now.
She wants
his blood
to
and his social
eat you.
awareness still
I
shines.
heard you the
every
first
single
time,
moment.
Sarah. Why are you guys trying to kill my confidence?
We're not. We're trying to save you from...
I've got it!
And again, it's like, again, his position on it is like, yeah, why are you trying to kill my confidence, right? Again, he's so desperate to create any level of friendship or any kind of communication that like it's essentially here, right? I said the same thing when it came into episode number 6 during my original reaction, that when it comes into Bella's entire case as well, that there was this strange, weird situation where you don't know whether or not she is like wanting to be like a romantic partner towards Rev, or if she wants the aspect of friendship first, right? Because the friendship and romance here kind of go like, they're kind of a mixture that's kind of together here as well, right? And so when that happens, it's like, which is which, right? Now, of course, with Belladonna here, it's like, it's obvious that it is more romantic, but here with Mark, it's like, he wants any level of closeness. And when you go straight to the romantic level, yeah, you're a lot more viable to be tricked or influenced because it's such a step higher from just traditional platonic relationships. And we saw that with Bella's flashback with the boy who did ask her out. Of course, it'd be a lot more easier to say yes and to believe that you are the one who has been, clearly, brought on to be, chosen as prom queen and stuff because of the fact that like you're in such a vulnerable state at the same time. But here comes Rev.
Oh, hi, Rev.
Hey, Rev.
What are you doing here, witch?
I just wanted to swing by and... Can you please put on a shirt?
It's swim class. Shouldn't you be in a swimsuit?
I need to use the bathroom!
Okay.
Hey, Rev! You'll never guess what just happened!
You're right, because I'm not going to bother to.
Check it! Nerissa asked me to go to the dance with her! How cool is that?
Why the hell?
Again, because romantic relationships are such a step higher than platonic relationships, and of course, take a lot more communication, stuff like that, but because they're such an important dynamic to build and to have, right? Immediately it serves as a higher priority to Mark than anything else. Because that's the thing about Mark that we don't really know too much about, because as I said before, he's pretty much now, I would say, I think he's actually a bit more higher, or actually, no, yeah, look, yeah, his attributes that we've been analyzing is almost the same as Belladonna's one. But another aspect here is that, because of everything that happens, right, he's in a position where he prioritizes higher dynamic relationship, right? And again, it's easier because of the fact that he's vulnerable. And because of that, it serves as an example to showcase that, like, yeah, when you are like love struck, like he is right now, it's easier to go along with everything else, right? And so because of that, he's willing to tell Rev, still considering him to be his friend, you know. And so because of that, there is an extreme, social influence that's going on here as well. At the same time, honestly. And again, we wrote before that when it comes to him trying to find a solution to something, yeah, he's going to try to figure out the easiest solution to a social conflict that's going on around him. So here, it's pretty much obvious that it's like, yeah, well, let me just go and get into this relationship because now even if Rev, avoids me, I still have someone else who loves me, who wants to be with me, right? And so again, you kind of grasp at straws in this entire case to figure out a proper relationship as well,
What are you telling me?
Because you're my roommate, dude. I figured you'd be, like, excited for me, or at least emote a little.
I don't care.
Not even a little?
Not even remotely.
Well, I think it's exciting. She's really popular and pretty, you know. And to think, she's interested in me!
Are you going somewhere with this? Because you're wasting my time.
And it also showcases a lack. Well, again, he did say, like, he did ask Sarah and Bella if they are killing his confidence, which immediately showcases that, like, yeah, he has a lack of self-confidence, my bad, due to his family neglect and such, right? So it makes sense that any level of confidence he's going to get is going to be something that he wants to keep for as long as possible, because, again, you become a lot more attached to people when you pretty much have lacked that attachment for a lot of your life, right? Not wanting to return back to that more negative situation, right? And I would talk about that kind of blooper reel where they showcased Mark's notebook, what he was writing, I believe, in episode 2 and such. But I'm pretty sure that isn't canon. If it is, it does make sense for his mindset to be a lot more aggressive and a lot more like depressive during these kind of moments. But I'm pretty sure it is non-canon. Not to say that I don't think it couldn't happen, but even still, still makes a lot of sense.
No, I'm not. Sorry. I'll, leave you alone then. Maybe I can still catch up to Narissa.
One after the
Finally.
other, each one leaves.
Oh,
and
them
one
out of the
takes
way, I
place.
can...
Rev,
What now?
you need to help Mark.
God, with what?
The siren is going to eat him.
No, duh. It's what they do.
Then you need to stop him.
Why me?
He won't listen to us. Only you.
Again, what did I just say, right? Prioritization of friendships have a hierarchy in Mark's entire mindset, right? And it's not that it's just him, right? In many people throughout our lives, we have these prioritizations, right? Some people prioritize their family relationship and dynamic over their romantic one, right? Or even their platonic ones over the romantic aspects. There's always a hierarchy that people follow day to day, day after day after day, right? But here with Sarah, it's a bit different. With Sarah, it is under the perception that Mark will not listen to them and only Rev himself, right? And this does make sense, right? Simply due to the fact, right? I think it's easier to do here, right? Until I get like a little bit of a drawing pad here, we're gonna have to do this ourselves. But when it occurs in this entire situation, we see that the hierarchy. I cannot spell hierarchy. Whatever. Hierarchy of relationships. The hierarchy of relationships here for Mark, right, seems to be the origin relation, right? Then the romantic relation, then friendship relation, or let's just call it platonic relation here, all the way to, of course, familiar relation. Now you're probably wondering, like, okay, well, when it comes into the family relationship, the familiar relation here, shouldn't that be higher since he seemed really obsessed over that? Well, that may be the case, but that's only when it's brought to his attention. We're talking in everyday perception of all of these ones here. There is not a clear functionality where he would see that as something that consistently needs to be brought up. But I mean, think about it, right? What relationship do we have at the moment that we're born? Well, it's family relationship. No matter if it's an adopted family or if it's blood relation, right? The familiar relation is always going to be first, right? As we go through our lives, we make friends, right? Maybe later on we have romantic relationships. An origin relation just means like the first friend that you have, right? So again, it's more of a prioritization of this, right? Like this should be considered technically like 1B, I would say, right? But again, even still, it's still brought on by this entire scenario, right? But even so, right, this is essentially his hierarchy of belief systems here, right? Rev is still a person he wants to pretty much be friends with because, again, now it's like almost a hard to get kind of situation, right? But Narissa serves as this, pretty much temporary template to really follow before he gets into the origin point, right? Again, like he immediately tries to go after this, right? This is still technically his priority right now, but the origin point is always going to be the thing that he cares about the most, right? There's no point, he's never shown to like be like, oh, let me give up or let me, not do this and that for like, X amount of time, right? Here, it's like, no, his hierarchy is literally going to be this, no matter what. But it makes a lot of sense, honestly. And Sarah, like, sees this too. She's like, yeah, he won't listen to us, so he's going to listen to you because, Rev's dynamic is going to be higher than the platonic ones, which are, I would say technically in third place here as well, as we see in the list.
I'm not his keeper. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
But
No buts! I have work to do.
you normally ask for my help.
Not this time.
Why?
And we pretty much see that, like you see this initial reaction, right? Like that's why, like, they do Rev's voice so good in this entire, like, series, because that tone is just like, not this time, right? And there's an immediate pause, right? Hesitation, right? I would say every time he has that hesitation that Viviana had noted it as being a lack of conviction towards everything that he essentially does all the way back in episode 5. But here we see that his lack of conviction here, if you want to even call it that, it's an entire fixation on trying to understand the situation for what it really is. And here there is a pause because he knows this, right? He knows all the way in episode 5 that Sarah does not want him to become self-destructive. She doesn't want him to necessarily die permanently, right? With everyone else that she had to guard, it pretty much did not really matter to her. But here with Rev, it does, right? With Rev, it is such an important situation that she has to essentially consistently make sure that he's not doing things too much. And so here there's that slight confusion, right? You ask me for help, right? Why aren't you asking me to help you out here, right? And Mark and Rev knows this, right? He's immediately like, I know that if I get this Necronomicon, if I get this book, right, I can finally, like, uncurse myself from where I am and finally die permanently, right? I can escape this situation that I've been given in, right? I can finally have my agency back by choosing to just die rather than spend another moment here, right? And we'll see more of that reasoning when he does talking to Viviana later on down the line. But here, it just is an immediate case of, like, I want to understand this entire situation. I want to pretty much be the one in control of everything that's going on around me, right? And he knows that Sarah would hate this, right? She would stop, right? And she has the power to do so. We know, like, I think she definitely has a higher power than he does, even though she did say that he does hit pretty hard. And she's able to pretty much appear like almost like teleportation, as we saw in episode 5 as well. But he knows that she'll try to stop him no matter what, right? And so it's like, yeah, no, not this time, right? I would rather push her away as far as possible rather than to risk the attempt she has at trying to protect me and save me from this, situation that he wants to pretty much be within, right? So I like how there's a lot of that kind of thinking going on behind that response as well.
Saved by the bell. Literally. Now, out of my way, Angel.
Wait.
Now that I'm finally alone, I can get started on my plan. Just need to grab that book. Ah, here you are! Now to harass that professor. What? What the hell? Why is it locked?
Mr. Bennett?
Yeah!
I don't believe you've ever once come to my office willingly this entire semester, Mr. Bennett. Was there something you needed?
Yeah.
What is it?
You know what? I just realized it's not that important. I'll be going now.
Hold on now, Mr. Bennett.
And of course, most of the scene is him trying to, like, do that. But of course,
Please.
yeah, Professor Lovecraft is such a freaking good teacher, honestly. Oh my god. Again, he knows that, like, anything that Rev wants to do is too embarrassed to admit something, right? So, and again, we've seen that actually multiple times, right? I think, like, we've seen with Mark, that's like, oh, and Mark is more so an assumption that he makes about Rev in episode number 2 at the end, where he's like, oh, you're embarrassed to admit that you're homesick. And then we saw with Sarah in episode 4, sorry, at the end, where she doesn't make Rev, give her an apology or attempt to forgive, himself or anything like that, because of the fact that she's like, no, it's cool, right? She understands that that's not really something he's good at, right? But she knows that the attempt is trying to be made, and so like that, she's able to just immediately forgive him. Which I said before, I'm not too much of a fan of because that's typically not something you want to have like Rev just be off the hook or something like that. But it's like, yeah, I guess it's not really that big of a deal, at least at the moment. But even still, I think it is really, really important to have that kind of situation there too. But yeah, like he tries to, of course, convince Lovecraft to give the Necronomicon and such, right? But again, it is something that is there. Of course, Lovecraft does not want him to like touch that book at all. Doesn't want any of his students to touch that, right? Because again, we saw what happened with Belladonna, and so he doesn't want that to happen to like anybody else or anything like even worse than that, And so again, because of that, you see all these different situations happening there as well.
Oh, you have no idea how badly you just screwed up, Lovecraft.
Oh, hey, Rev. What are you up to, dude?
I'm about to steal the Book of the Dead, Wolf. Out of my way.
Oh, that's cool, dude. Rock on. Rock on? You're an idiot, Wolf.
Okay. I think it should just be
a scene.
What the? Why are these two morons here?
Do you think I should just walk up to her?
Bella told us to write.
I know, but I can't stop thinking about it, Sarah. I can't remember the last time someone...
Ooh, look at that. What did I say? I knew it. I knew his rejection. I barely remember this episode because it has been quite a while, but I do recall that Mark has a lot of dependency issues, right? And so here we immediately see that happening, right? The last time that someone showed
that kind of interest in me.
Again, he does not specify like, oh, it's romantic. I never had a girlfriend before. I never had a friend before. No, it is specifically the effect of having this dynamic in Mark itself, right? Or on Mark himself, I should say. But here immediately confirms that, yeah, that entire situation is correct. Mark is indeed in need of these desperations. I knew it. I just knew it. But again, it's something that's really obvious, obviously, considering his lack of family, connections and all that stuff. But even still, it is such a important aspect of Mark's character, right? I actually completely forgot because I always kind of glanced over this entire subplot of him and Nerissa's thing because it gets resolved at the end. But even at the end, it's like Mark's final kind of, attempt at trying to connect with Rev, and Rev just immediately brushing it aside permanently, right? But oh my god, it is such a great format of defining a character like Mark, right? Because Mark isn't, again, we barely see him half the time. When we do, it's just a one-note thing, him trying to be nice, Mark shutting him down or just pushing him aside, et cetera, right? But like, oh my god, it's such a good foundation to have, honestly.
She was interested in eating you.
Yeah, and again, Sarah's a lot more realistic over there.
I think I see her over there.
Mark, don't.
Nerissa, hey!
Good, he's distracted. Means I should have no problem.
Rev.
What, Sarah?
You need to help Mark.
I'm getting deja vu. Didn't I already tell you no?
I don't understand why you won't.
Because I'm busy, Sarah.
With what?
Something important.
Can I help?
Oh my god, again, that lack of conviction, right? He immediately pauses to try to should I tell her, should I not, right? Sarah is his entire, Sarah I would describe as his, confidant, right? He confides in her to help him with everything, but again, it's that confliction. It's like, I don't want to tell her because he knows that she will stop him, right? If he, even if it's just to get the book, I'm pretty sure she's smart enough to know that, if you get the book, you're probably going to do all this thing, right? And it is weird that, she doesn't use her divine sight, as she said before, to just see what Mark is trying to do. But I think, again, or what Rev is trying to do, but I think she's busy trying to stop Mark from, getting eaten, that, she's probably not paying as much attention to Rev in this case, too. But it's also that confusion of, I don't understand why you won't, right? That confusion is actually really interesting, too, because I guess it's just based off of just the fact that, someone's in trouble, shouldn't you help that person, right? Since it is an aspect of injustice. And I think it's just Sarah trying to appeal to what we said before about Rev, which is, where is it? Fairness for benefit, right? I think it's also because of the fact that his teamwork aspect is entirely there. Not to mention he has high tolerance of her, so I think she's probably, using that as a third party reason to be like, okay, well, this means then he'll help Mark, right? And because Mark is part of our friend group, I want him to be safe as well, blah, 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 right? And so again, it's just really interesting that like she doesn't understand the reason why he won't. And of course, as he says, and she always offers help anyway, and now she's confused as to why he doesn't want her help, right? But again, she doesn't dig in or isn't like incredibly suspicious or X, Y, and Z because again, she trusts Mark. She trusts Rev. She trusts Rev to get these things done no matter what, right? But
Oh,
No.
why not?
Because I said so! Now beat it!
But you've always asked for my help before.
And again, we said before, right? Sarah is really narrow-minded. She sees things through a linear perspective, right? Even if it is the path of least resistance, she still sees things through a kind of tunneled kind of vision, right? And so when she sees like, oh, Rev has helped me, blah, 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 right? Why not now, right? Why don't you need my help now? I thought this is like how the process goes, right? And the thing is, we see this happen so many times that even us as the viewer, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense why she thinks that way, right? In episode 2, he asked for her help in trying to catch the other students, the 3 dead students. When it came into like episode 5, of course, he constantly, used her to help him and stuff like that. In episode number 3, he used her help to try to escape the void and stuff like that, right? And so, like, despite everything, it's like, yeah, he has seen Sarah as a confidant, but here he doesn't want her help, right? And so he's like, not right now.
Why not now?
Sarah, go bother Mark, not me. I'm busy.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. I completely forgot how cold that line was. Yeah, it's like, okay. Just like, again, it's not really, again, you can't really get too much of a grasp on Sarah, right? Like we said before when he came into the emotion wheel, that's like, you don't really know where, like, Sarah is half the time here, right? You can kind of say, like, oh, it's a bit more confusion, I would say, right? Like, I can't even find confusion here, honestly, or being confused. But, like, I don't know, I think it is a small bit like that as well at the same time, honestly. I guess confused. So I guess it's more of an aspect of surprisement, I suppose. But I don't know. It is really interesting to say the least.
Let's see. Should just be right up here, and that's it right there. Seriously? Another damn locked door? Is this one worth blasting open?
Rev?
God! Okay, you all need to stop doing that!
Oh, no. No. I know that look on your face. You're up to something.
What the? There's no way it's that obvious.
And again, she would know more than anybody else that he enjoys causing trouble. I would say next to Sarah, actually, because Sarah is like the one who's always also doing the trouble along with Rev. But, immediately called out on everything that he's doing.
It really is. Look, Rev! We need to do our paper. Can you go a day without the rule breaking?
Actually, did he ever tell them that he didn't do his paper? Well, I guess they would probably already know, as we said before. They probably already know that he isn't someone who is, like, the studious kind, not to mention he hates his entire academy, so I guess it would make sense, honestly.
Who says I'm breaking rules?
You're literally trying to break into the restricted section.
Touché.
I have Mark and Sarah already working on their papers downstairs. What if we all work together?
Pass.
Rev,
I would rather do this solo.
And again, like, it is just a small bit of that decline, right? We see him like he is getting more frustrated with everyone around him. And again, like he's about to go a bit more into like infuriation, into annoyance, but then he withdraws himself down, right? Again, like funny enough, right? Like distancing and being numb and withdrawn are part of the angry emotion spectrum, which actually fits Rev pretty well. I didn't even notice this before. But again, like he's about to get overly annoyed, but then he kind of pulls himself back and he's like, okay, no, he means well. He wants to help. She's already getting Sarah and Mark to do these things. So because of that, like, okay, you do that. And the fact matter being that they do complete their papers, right? We know at the end they do complete their papers. And what does that lead into? Into them talking about how much Rev has influenced them and how much he's such a good influence on them and they're inspired by him and everything in between. That means that technically speaking, yeah, Mark, even in trying to talk to Narissa and everything, he's still the complete his paper about Rev, right? Again, showcasing that the priorities are still technically there. But yeah, it still is interesting. Yeah, these two emotions here, leading to distancing himself, is all pretty much part of what occurs within this episode. But yeah, I never noticed that it was part of like being angry. That's actually really, really surprising.
Huh? Why?
I just do, okay?
What do you want from the restricted section then?
Inspiration for my paper.
Wait, really? You're actually doing schoolwork? Seriously?
Don't make a scene!
I'm not making a... Okay. Sorry. Just, what if I helped you? Just me.
Again, the two people who are probably the most isolating of the bunch, right? Again, immediately she understands. She's like, okay, well, if he just wants to do it alone, like, okay, what if I isolate myself with him, right? It's like, if a person wants to be alone, typically, of course, try to understand that and stuff like that. But here it is an entire aspect of like, oh, okay, well, we're both loners. We're both the loner type. So why not, like, I help you, And again, it's such a constructive way of really looking into these things at the same time, But yeah, I think it is something that is really important to recognize as a person, But even still, I think it's pretty fun. And the fact of the matter being that, like, it's like her focus on schoolwork, and again, because she has such a high academic intelligence, that is pretty much her priority a lot of the time. And so that's something that immediately just pulls her away from any suspicion. Like, okay, what if I just assisted you at the same time?
You? Seriously? How?
You need in, right? Here, watch. Artibus.
Whoa! Huh. I thought that spell evaporated people.
Oh, I just use it to send people to the dungeon when they bother me.
How come you've never used it on me before?
Weren't you looking for a book?
And so, like, yeah, like you already have those entire moments. Even then, it's something that makes sense for Sarah, for Belladonna's character, because of the fact that, like, yeah, she's always trying to push people away, who immediately annoy. And that's the fact that I find to be really, really interesting. But it also makes sense for her to learn that spell and to have used it constantly, as we see her doing that in the series proper. Because of the fact that, like, it's almost like a defense mechanism of sorts, right? Like the people in her past who had bullied her, had annoyed her. But again, she didn't have a manner to really defend or like go against them or anything like that. And now here she is with the capacity to make these spells. And so it's like, yeah, if anyone does annoy her, she'd rather not, let them get into a step further than that, right? And actively bully her. So it's like, oh, let me just send them away from me and stuff like that, right? She's not killing them. Because again, if she actually were evaporating, killing people, that would go against the whole point, of like her backstory, which is that she didn't want to kill them and she felt, bad about killing her bullies, But yeah, like it makes a lot of sense for her to have that spell entirely. But yeah, here they all go through the library, of course, trying to not get into trouble. They have like a lot of sweet moments here. Librarian is the giant spider, and of course they're about to get the Necronomicon before Lovecraft comes in and takes it away once again. No doubt suspecting that he would have that at the same time.
It's so good. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. I'll need him to take the book out himself. Question is how.
Rev, we should get out of here before we get caught.
Fine, I'll just have to work on my paper at my dorm or something.
Do you want help?
You really want to do that to yourself? I'm kind of a nightmare.
I don't think you're a nightmare, Rev.
And that is sincerity, right? It's not just flattery or, glazing somebody or whatever the case is, right? It is an actual sincere compliment, because it is like, and Rev, I would argue, is really self-deprecating, right? We said before that, like, masking in episode number 4, that it was just a kind of defense mechanism that people with depression typically have as well, right? But I mean, I think here it is a similar aspect for Rev. I mean, Rev is a pretty depressed person, right? So it does make sense that he would be really self-deprecating about his own entire thing. And again, we're going to get more into that when he does have his conversation with Viviana. But like, yeah, he really does not like this place, and of course does not like his own body and his own situation about being mortal and stuff like that, right? And yeah, like he says it as like a passing comment, right? I'm kind of a nightmare, but like, you know, Belladonna has seen him firsthand. What happens when someone like him cares in his own angry, stubborn way, right? But again, like, I think that there is a genuineness to it all, honestly. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Besides, I am your ride, remember?
All right, Witch. Sure.
Okay, Artemis!
Here it is, my dorm room.
Huh. You don't do a lot of decorating, do you?
What's the point? It's not my room. It's my cell.
And again,
This
now it gets
is
towards the-
Mark's, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's rooming with him like?
Horrible. You think he'd at least shut up at night, but no.
I wonder if Belladonna even has a roommate, honestly, because, I mean, they're all getting shared dorms anyway, right? Maybe she has her own shared dorm, I guess. I guess that would make sense, too, through the accommodation of, like, her more traumatic, you know, backstory about having all these things and stuff. Like, if she even had told anybody other than Rev this, which I think she didn't, because I think she even said that she's never told anyone this before. But I guess she would have a roommate or something like that, but maybe they don't get along or something like that. I don't know. It is weird.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
yeah, and people have always mentioned that, like, she had,
Oh,
like, a plushie that looked
Raven.
like Raven
Right.
as well. Which I guess one thing
Cat.
that showcases the innate connection that they
She's
already had shared
so
previously.
cute! Aw, you're just the cutest little kitty. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I don't know what to write for this stupid paper.
And so, I guess this was also
I
a
didn't mean-
pretty cool scene, right?
Wow.
Because again, right, Ursa comes in, they have a whole spat back and forth as well.
Oh,
About these
dude.
things.
Cat.
Through you and your little...
Life. Rizzer! Sir!
Why are you out here?
Why are you?
Divine sight.
Yeah, see, so she does use her divine sight to find them, but it's not like a consistent thing, I guess. But I guess it makes sense. She understands that he does want to be left alone sometimes, but you know, she is also really confused as to why this whole thing is different, right? I think it's less like Mark, where there is a desperation consistently to be involved in stuff, versus like Sarah, where it is an pretty much adamant approach to these kind of situations as well. So I don't know.
I asked why, not how.
You're up to something.
What? So you're gonna stop me?
No, I want to know why you won't tell me.
Because I don't have to.
But you always did before.
This time is different.
Why?
I don't need a reason!
Yeah, immediately just retracting back as well.
Did I do something wrong?
Ooh, again, immediately similar to Mark, right? As we said before, right? It's an immediate accountability for oneself, even if it is completely unnecessary, right? I wouldn't say it's to the point of hyper responsibility that had been shown within Belladonna in her past and even currently. But it is a small symptom of that, right? Like, did I do something wrong? Am I the one here, right? Because there is genuine and reasonable confusion, right? If a process is consistently happens in a certain way, right? If you and a friend are consistently doing everything together, and then just one day they stop doing that and they try to push you away, and whatever the case is, right? Like, is there something else, right? Did you do something wrong? There's that kind of clarification of like, what exactly is making this so much different than every other moment, right? Especially when you have like these immortal kids working together, right? It's like, yeah, what really happened here, right? Like, is there something that is incorrect about everything that I've done? And is this entire thing different, right? And so again, it's such a impressive and important thing to really recognize here as well.
No, but
Ooh, again, just the softness of his tone. Again, I love this episode was just a treat to watch the first time. Oh my god! Again, episode 8. I don't know what's gonna happen there, right? You guys probably all know what's gonna happen, but once I get to the after this one and we get into episode 8, I don't even know. I myself do not know what is gonna happen, but it is gonna be one heck of a time, honestly. Show that small, slightly more
There you
vulnerability.
are, Brutus.
oh, good timing, Cat.
Uh-oh.
Forget that she is upset with him, right? Because I was confused at the end of episode 2 why she was still upset, but I guess it's like she sees it as like a betrayal of her friendship and her trying to like give back the amulet and such. But
Go, Angel, go!
Okay.
This is your final act, Revenant!
again, you get episode 2 flashbacks all over the place here as well. Which is why I said that the only thing that like you bring back from that would be, of course, the vices that we mentioned before. We said that each resurrected student is pretty much having a different vice that Mark himself has as well. We said before with Harapuri is the being known as different, right? It's the difference as well, right? Vice of recognition for everything that your person essentially does. And so while she craves having the attention stuff, Mark just essentially is all about gaining the respect and being made aware that he isn't just some average person, that he has the capacity to do all these amazing things at the same time. So it makes a lot of sense.
Damn, where do I hide?
Would you like
And
me
here
to deal
comes one
with
of my
her?
favorite
No,
scenes.
just
Here we go.
go find Lovecraft!
But
Hurry up! Here!
Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?
Okay. No, I just need to wait for...
What, Rev?
Just the immediate connection that you have with that as well. I'll let the scene play out just because it's such an important one.
What? Finally have nothing to say?
I hate you, Rev Bennett.
The feeling's mutual.
Shut up. I want to make it clear. I don't hate you for turning me pink, or throwing me through a mirror, or any of that other stupid circus acts you've pulled.
Then what?
I hate you because you're still here. Every week, you break something, you burn something, you tear apart this school more than any other student has. And yet you're still here. You do whatever you want. Break as many rules as you like, and yet you still live on. You still exist. Do you think you're the only one that wants out, Rev Bennett? That you're the only person who hates every second of their life? You're not special. And I'm sick of everyone at this school treating you like you are.
So what? You're gonna try to kill me now?
No, it won't work. And beating you half to death doesn't feel cathartic anymore. But don't worry. You're going to get what you deserve, Rev Bennett. For once, I'll have the last laugh. So you better remember this. Remember how much I hate you. I want it to be the last thought that passes through your head.
And that's the thing about, oh my god, it's such a good scene. Again, when we make our Wendy analysis video, this scene pretty much is the only real scene that you need to just show how much she is such a good written antagonistic force. She's not the villain, of course, but she's also one of the obstacles that he has to face. But again, is she really someone that he consistently has to face, right? A lot of the stuff that he does, as she said, is something that you could argue was an accident, right? She's like, I'm not mad at you for turning me pink, right? Or doing all these different things, right? I'm mad because you're still here, right? That's the thing, is that like she even says that everyone treats him like he is special when she herself does not believe he isn't, right? He gets away with so much. And again, we do not know a single thing about what Viviana had told her inside that room, right? And so for that small moment, we are pretty much left in the dark, similar to Rev, right? And so we can see things through Rev's perspective, right? He is the main character after all. But everything that we see about Wendy is just the fact that, like, yeah, she hates him. And yes, she does provoke him, right? She is petty enough to do all these different things like she did at the end of episode 4. But even still, it is an entire aspect of that mental manipulation because of that entire case, right? She is so isolated in every single approach that she has toward pretty much anything at all that it just makes the most amount of sense, right? She has her own sense of control, right? She is condescending towards him, right? She has a fragility on stuff that happens to her, but even now, this fragility does not matter, right? It is temporary. It is a temporary approach to pretty much anything that happens, right? Because she knows that there is a limitation to that. That is just the rules of the universe, right? The rules of human society, the rules of any social interaction ever, is that if you keep being stubborn, if you keep being a jerk to people, if you push people away or even do things that are really bad, it's got to come back to get you. No matter how much things you do to try to avoid it, that thing is going to come back to get you. Karmatic retribution is completely justified in her mindset because of the fact that he's done so much bad and not as much good. And the good things that he does do are happening outside of her sight, right? Now, you could maybe argue she did see him talk to belladonna and to do all these different things. But even still, what is really the case there, right? And again, she's like hiding behind these walls and observing these things and getting more and more upset. But even now, it's like she's just so tired. Even her voice actor, right? I forget who does her voice, but like I have seen the voice actress do things in like the blooper episodes where like her real voice is actually a lot more smoother and less raspy than Wendy's voice typically is, right? But even still, right? Wendy's voice here is a lot less crackly, right? It's a lot less like raspy of sorts. And it says she just does whatever she can to pretty much get that message across, right? She does not like Rev at all, right? And again, we already know that, but she even says like, no, let me talk, right? You don't get to change to control the subject, right? Which you could argue is a way to try to take away his agency here too. But Wendy, at least through her perspective through episode 5, she had no agency at all. She was just a victim of the circumstances as much as anybody else was when Rev was doing all these things, like turning students into zombies. And so for her, she's completely justified in being upset in that. Now, is it everything? Well, again, I think it really depends on your perspective on who is really the one who gave that kind of first blow, right? But she is correct. Everyone treats him like he is good when all she's seen from him is that he is bad, right? And so that hurts even more than anything you could ever do to her, right? And she's not going to kill him or anything. She's reasonable to know that. But she knows that he's like, yeah, I can't even beat you up because it won't even make me feel better anyway, right? And so again, it's such a good situation to really see, honestly. And again, you have antagonists like this that are like, you gotta need more bullies that are more complex than just being this kind of one-note thing as well. It's just so good, so good.
Hey, Birdface! He's in here!
Lovecraft
Laura
intervenes.
Purry, it's unfortunate that we must meet again this way.
Professor Lovecraft! Please, we can talk. You were like my favorite professor. Did you know that?
Miss Purry,
Wait, I swear I wasn't gonna kill him. I'm a changed woman. Just don't put me back in the dirt. Okay?
Perhaps enough time has passed.
Seriously?
Seriously?
Come with me, young lady.
And of course, the theme
And
one of
Mr.
the themes of the show
Bennett.
is redemption,
We'll discuss this later.
And so again, it makes the most amount of sense that he would do all these things, no matter what. Even if a person has
God
there's
damn
a
it!
chance to
If
think.
he doesn't put her back down, then I can't get my hands on that book!
Yeah, like, it makes
Unless
sense, honestly.
he doesn't use it to send her back, but to bring back someone else. Ugh. Damn it. This is gonna be frustrating.
Rain, that's a good answer.
Kincaid,
Allow me to save you some breath, Mr. Bennett. You resurrected that ghoul in the courtyard, and now she is speaking with Lovecraft regarding her reinstatement into school. So, you must be here to demand that she be put back down, yes?
not quite.
I think that's one of the things I love about Viviana, because, like, yes, we're talking about antagonistics. Like, of course, I don't consider Viviana to be a villain. I think she's also just an antagonistic force. Of course, much higher up than what Wendy is. But even still, like, we know, of course, that she is a concept, right? Future, past, present. She sees everything, and she is in everything, whatever the case is, right? But she does such a good job of just playing this part. Honestly, as somebody who is like, just the principal, right? She's just asking him if, like, oh, were you going to do this? When in reality, he already has this entire mindset that she already saw, right? Even in her normal state, without it, the whole multiversal thing, right? She is like entirely aware that, like, yeah, he wants to do something different. But again, she's such a good person at putting like this kind of mindset into him as well, right? She's actually one of the only people and characters I think that can actually create a false influence. When I talked about the Lane collective identity, I mentioned how everyone has an influence that they, like, a small imprint that they leave on them. With Viviana, she so carefully puts on her influence as like just a more broad scope of like, oh, the principal is powerful, the principal knows all, the principal does blah blah blah, right? And she showcases her power numerous times, but even still, it's such a good situation to really see, honestly.
I want you to bring back the other two. Sebastian and the other one.
How intriguing. Rev Bennett is acting in the interest of others. Or perhaps it's more likely that you are up to something? Say less, Mr. Bennett. Your case has been
That
accepted.
small tease that, yeah, he already knows, honestly.
But I...
Again, you don't need to bother. I've already decided. This is for the best.
That final quote, right? Again, foreshadowing into their conversation when they're in the void. I know already the case. Yeah, she's already decided. As in to say, like, yeah, it's already been done. It's going to be done. You can't change it because, you know, you can't change fate, honestly, in this case. And so because of that, it's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter at all.
I suppose Mr. Lovecraft will need to remove the Necronomicon from the restricted section. I'll inform him to do so immediately.
Right. You do that.
You seem perplexed, Mr. Vennet. Is there something you'd like to tell me?
No. Not at all.
Very well, then. You are dismissed.
Again, he's overtly surprised on how easy all of this kind of seems. And yes, you know, he's smart enough to know whenever something is like not as easy as anything else. I mean, again, episode 5 literally showed him consistently trying to outsmart her and it not working at all, even at the end. And so here it's like, yeah, okay, well, if it works so well, then there you go. You know? And again, the closer he gets to getting what he wants, it's like, you know, there is that confliction. It's like, if I actually do die, these guys are going to be alone, honestly, right? And it is interesting to have this episode immediately after episode 6, where the final thing that he does while possessing Boudnaries was essentially to say that, like, yeah, they can't survive without him, right? And so, but here is his chance to finally, you know, get rid of this confliction that he has. And, like, here you have this kind of conviction pretty much starting to lack a lot of, you know?
Okay. Huh. Hey, what the hell happened to the mirror?
Oh, the one you broke in the attic? I've long since repaired it. Thank you for that, by the way.
No, the one in here. What did you do with it?
I moved it.
Why?
It just needed somewhere else today.
Forget it.
These are.
Mr. Vennet,
What?
do be kinder to those friends of yours. You've been quite cruel today.
Keep your nose out of my business, Kincaid.
And again, it's like, again, that is part of the lesson of this entire episode, is that do not take your friends or people who care about you for granted, right? And again, it's just such a important aspect as well, right? And we will talk about more of the concepts. Of course, I have them all saved up down here to really talk about them at the same time as well, right? But again, it makes a lot of sense in the same moments that we essentially pretty much see them into as well.
There. I'm almost there.
Again, repeating what he said all the way up in episode 5. He's ready to leave us all behind, to leave this aspect of self-destruction behind from everything else, honestly. Because it makes a lot of sense, you know?
I just need one more thing. And my plan will be complete. Now I just gotta... God! Jeez!
Oh, come on. I literally didn't do anything this time.
What are you doing here? Don't you have a paper to write?
I already did. What happened to yours? You totally ditched me.
There's no point in writing it. Nothing I would say in there would be genuine.
Then what are you doing here?
I'm going to brew an emotion potion. One for sincerity. I'm hoping it'll be enough to convince Lovecraft.
Sincerity is an interesting one because I don't really see it within the wheel here, as far as I'm aware. But sincerity isn't really, I would say it's not really a state of emotion as it is more so a way to represent these things, right? Like you can truly be energetic or you can pretend to be it. Sincerity is just this state in which the emotion itself is actually within. Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing here at all, honestly. You know, you have like sensitivity and such, but like you don't have really sincerity. But even still, you know, it makes a lot of sense, right? And of course, here we see him, of course, trying to push Belladonna away, and that there is no point in writing this. He knows they'll be gone soon, and that, you know, his friend group, right, Bella, Sarah, Mark, that they'll all be alone, right? And yeah, like there is that kind of guilt of like, you know, I'm going to these people alone who require me for a lot of these things to gain self-confidence, right? With Sarah to have someone who can teach her. this act of rage and to care about someone else, which we already saw her do towards Mark. And of course, to Mark, as someone who actually does give you attention and show interest in what you're doing, right? Or is at least there for you, right? And again, like there's the guilt that's being felt here. It's going to be a really difficult thing if he does manage to do that, you know? Oh, I forgot that Raven's
Okay.
here. Yeah, Raven's just right here.
I'll help.
I didn't ask.
I know. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay?
So there is a connection here as well.
Have?
I'm going?
And of
Luck
course,
finding
you know,
one of those.
Shut up!
of course, he talks about like if he has anyone to go to the dance with, which is of course the next episode from the thumbnail and the title. But like, you know, again, it's an entire aspect of like, you know, her wanting to. And of course, they have this little goo ball fight as well, and it is like an entire like aspect there as well. But even still, you know,
Had fun just now, Rev. And I think you did too.
again, social awareness, right? I said before that it like, and I feel bad by saying that like she has a low EQ because again, at the end of the day, I still think her aspect of intelligence towards emotions is actually pretty high, right? I mean, you have to kind of have a high EQ to know about like empathy and to just get such a good grade on it. Honestly, I said before, I think Bella definitely is now like a lot more of the positive scaling. She connects with other people. She knows how other people are feeling, right? With Sarah, because she's pretty much almost constantly in this kind of neutral zone. There are constantly these entire aspects of like knowing fully well what it is that occurs within these moments, right? But again, like she knows just so much good stuff, and then you know that's what makes Bella such a good person is that she is aware of that. She's like, yeah, I know that you had fun, right? I saw you having fun, right? That you're actually laughing, you're actually having a good time, right? It's like, you know, I want that to be a thing that you show constantly, you know. But of course, again, Rev is now on the move, right? He's focused, right? He's pushing everything away because he's so close and he doesn't want to like get rid of that. He doesn't want to be in a state where none of that really matters anymore, you know?
So, I was just saying that we should.
Stop.
What?
Stop that.
Rev! I don't. Did I say something?
Ooh, did I say something wrong, right? With Sarah, did I do something wrong, right? And I believe Mark says something similar toward the end. But like, oh, it's always about that, right? Accountability, right? Did I do something wrong? And are you so fundamentally changed, right? Because again, there's a difference here, right? There's a difference between Mark being, or Rev being happy, right? Rev being his normal, stubborn, like, you know, shut up, like, leave me alone self. But this is different, right? This is actively being pushed away. It's not just his personality of being angry, right? It's not a state of anger that he constantly has, like Sarah mentioned. But this is different. This is him actively choosing, like, no, I cannot have you next to me. I cannot have this whole thing that we have going on, right? I just can't, right? He is actively trying to avoid a situation that, again, he's not even telling us, the viewer, right? But he just can't be around them, for that matter.
Something wrong?
Listen. Whatever you think this is, don't get it confused. You helped me make a potion. That's it.
But I thought.
You thought wrong. Don't.
And oh my god, it feels so, like, it's such a crushing thing, especially for her, because of the fact that, again, this is a similar betrayal of, like, you know, what she had gone through in her past, right? That people just wanted her to get something, or people just wanted this and that, you know? It's like, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if people consistently just used her to get, like, you know, answers to questions and stuff because of her academic reputation. But, like, oh my god, like, this hurts a lot more, because, like, you know, there is that kind of doubt, right? Is this something that's there, right? And again, she doesn't want to believe it, right? She wants to believe that this is genuine, that Rev's connection with her, his connection to everyone, is actually genuine, and he's just holding himself back, right? He's angering himself back from, like, even feeling anything, you know?
Don't make this into something it's not. Got it?
Because it'll be too hard for him.
Rev!
Don't follow me.
And he's done. He's not yelling. He's not doing anything. He's just done.
Are you sure, Miss Kincaid? The Necronomicon.
You'll be safe with me, Professor. I promise. Oh, it seems you have a visitor, Professor.
Yes. With incredible timing.
Is that...
I was just leaving. Don't mind me. You don't need that potion, Mr. Vennet.
Yep, immediately knowing that. At the same time.
What the... Why is it in here?
Mr. Vennet, have a seat.
We'll speed through this entire portion, right? It's one of the most important scenes, but it does take a while to get through everything. But with each character, we're going to see exactly how they were impacted by Rev's entire presence.
When I allowed you to keep your amulet, I didn't expect you to...
Let's skip this lecture. I didn't do my paper.
Frankly, I'm not surprised. Though, I am disappointed.
Yeah, whatever. Can I go?
Not yet, Mr. Vennet. There's something I'd like to share with you.
God, look! I'm not sorry for not doing the paper. And I don't care about how much trouble I get in. This school is a nightmare, and I hate it more than anything else.
And again, like, his plan's going against him, right? He doesn't have an Necronomicon, so yeah, what does he do? Well, he does what he does naturally. He lashes out. He tells them, like, yeah, I hate you, I hate this place, I hate blah, 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 right? It's like, it's not even done, you know?
Like, if you could even call it that, ended the day I walked through those doors.
And again, like, that's also true, right? You see those entire connections of, like, learning that truth, right? I mean, the moment he walked through those doors, that was it, right? That his fate was sealed. He was going to find out about his origins. He's going to find out that his entire life has been a lie given to him, right? That yes, he has worked hard. He has done all these things. And that is part of the positive elements of his character, right? But again, he's also really self-destructive because of that fact, right? This is the whole entire thing is a lie. What's the point of being friends when everything else can just be another lie, right? Like, Viviana is a big part of that, right? Everything that he thinks that he can do, she immediately shuts it down, right? She reveals to him, like, no, like, everything that you thought was real or you thought was giving you agency is completely a lie. It's completely falsified, And so now it's like that kind of confusion of, like, what can I really do other than do what I've always done, right? Reject society, reject the, become a nonconformist,
So to hell with your lectures and your pity. I don't want it. I don't need it. And I don't care.
That's fine, Mr. Vennet. I have nothing to say to you.
Good, then.
However, there are others that do. They wrote about it in these here papers.
What?
All of my students were tasked with writing about the one thing they believed helped them achieve better versions of themselves. And would you believe it, Mr. Vennet? 3 of these papers are about you.
You're lying.
Miss Sarah Finn wrote, "There is no one who has ever mattered to me before Rev Vennet. I realize what it means now to be a guardian angel. I'm not very good at it, but I will do whatever it takes to learn, and Rev Vennet will teach me."
Of course, what we said about episode 3, Sarah and Rev's relationship is based off of learning and understanding, right? I mean, fact of the matter being that we even wrote in Sarah's thing that there is, like, the forming qualities, forming values that she essentially constantly searches for, right? Rev's act of rage, constant force of action against injustice, right? His recognition of value in elements that would be considered negative, right? Such as, his own anger, his own kind of nonconformity, a projection of need. She wants to understand things, so she follows him around and learning this as a solution, right? She wants to learn from him at the same time. At the same moment in time, she admits that, like, she doesn't know everything about that as well, right? And she wants to make sure that she can have the willpower to continue living her life in a proper way, And so here it's like, yeah, she's not good at doing this, especially even now, right? Even now she's still confused as to why it is that Rev is rejecting all of that, right? And, she doesn't really see it that it is a lack of sincerity at the same time.
Sarah would never.
Mr. Mark Dracula wrote, "There's no one with as much ambition as Rev Vennet. If he sets his mind on something, he never gives up on it. So I won't give up on him, because I believe at the end of the day, he'll still show up for me, even if he never admits it."
Exactly, and that's a good thing to have, right? It's like, when we're in social situations like Mark and Rev's, you don't force yourself into a person's life. You don't try to, like, get them to like you constantly all the time, right? Or even in a sense become like a people pleaser, which you could argue Mark is slightly a people pleaser kind of person, but, like, it really depends. But even still, right? It's like you don't force yourself on that. You just have that hope that, like, yeah, this person is good, right? You're just a nice person by heart, like Mark is, and you just hope that he will come by and help him out from time to time, no matter what really happens, right? And he talks about, of course, Mark's Rev's ambition, which of course is referenced in episode 2, where no matter what happened, no matter how many times he was brought back, he had that effect on people, right? No matter what really happens. And so because of that, we essentially have this entire situation as well. And no matter what really occurs, it's always part of that, right? And of course, Belladonna's is the more recent one, but we'll just let it play out here.
Naive as always.
And finally, Miss Belladonna wrote, "I used to hate myself more than anyone, until I met Rev Vennet, who hated the world even more. And he taught me that there are better things to hate than yourself. and that even someone like me deserves love. If you weren't here, I don't believe I would be either.
Exactly. She would have been like self-destructive on herself as well. But again, I think it is entirely there at the same moment in time, right? It is brought in by the recognition that like I can be responsible for myself, right? It doesn't need to be like part of like anything else that essentially happens either. Right? But again, it makes the most amount of sense.
As I promised, I will not lecture you. I believe your peers spoke loudly enough. I'll leave you to your thoughts, Mr. Bennett.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. None of it matters.
Again, final pushback. He's trying to push back against everything that could change his mindset there as well at the same time, right? And of course, that brings us to these entire concepts here as well, right? Self-discrepancy is essentially described on being limited by who we are as a person, right? Because of Rev's background of being homeschooled and being isolated, he believes that he can't help people in the way that you would normally see it to occur, right? And it makes a lot of sense too, right? When it comes to the locus of control, right, both internal and external, we'll get into that when he gets into his conversation with Viviana and his him talking about how he feels about himself and other people. But I want to introduce you guys to a concept that I was thinking about when I was watching this episode the first time, right? Which is the connection that he has with other people isn't recognized by him, right? So all the way back in, I believe, 2016 or 2017, there was a psychologist with a social psychologist with her group of researchers, right? It's Erica Boothby, who had pretty much created this conceptual way of looking at things, right? And she called that the invisible cloak illusion, right? Of course, out of stuff like Harry Potter, all these different references and such, right? But in her findings, right, in the invisible cloak illusion, he pretty much recognized that there was a cognitive bias where people pretty much incorrectly believe they observe others more than they are observed themselves, right? And there is a fundamental value to having that entire perception there as well, right? We look at ourselves through this entire aspect of knowing more about other people than what they might know about ourselves, right? Again, this is interconnected with the latent collective identity itself, but within this entire findings and this entire mindset, it makes a lot of sense that with Rev, he wouldn't believe that people would be like looking at him or not even just judging him, but really observing all that he does, right? And for him, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter at all, right? It doesn't matter what happens because for him, it's like, he's going to achieve what he wants to achieve, right? He's going to be where he wants to be, and nothing is going to stop him, right? He is that narrow-minded and focused on his approach, and, he never stopped to think, like, am I affecting other people, right? Am I actually being someone who other people want in their lives and such? And so you see this cognitive bias occurring quite heavily within a lot of his entire moments in the series, right? He doesn't believe that what he does will have a profound impact on anybody, for that matter. And of course, that's not a healthy mindset to have, right? Because that causes us to just believe that we are more so correct than anything else that happens entirely, right? And of course, when you have that mindset, it ends up creating a situation that is completely confounded, right? But founded on our approach to try to push other people away at the same time, right? And of course, we talked about egocentrism when we believe that everyone around us have the same kind of beliefs as ourselves, right? But again, it's not without its own kind of properties there at the same time, But again, like that is part of his entire situation here. He holds a confliction because of the fact that now he's realized how much of an impact he has on other people, right? But again, it's either that, do you work to gain your own self-independence, to gain your own independence no matter what? Or do you focus on other people, right? Well, again, he knows which one he's been better at his entire life. So, again, he's going to go into whatever is the easiest path, right? And I wouldn't say it's necessarily the easy path in life, but it definitely is an entire aspect of trying to reach a point where you can finally be free of whatever's bothering you. And I think that is entirely important here as well.
Where the hell did she stash that book?
Hello there, Mr. Bennett.
Just get out of my way.
Come on now. This may be the last time we ever get to talk like this. Can't you spare a few moments?
What do you mean?
You shouldn't be in here, Mr. Bennett. And yet, you are. You shouldn't be rebelling against my rule, and yet you do. And you really shouldn't treat your friends like that.
Friends? What friends?
Again, the same kind of quote as before. She's drawing immediate attention of like, yeah, you shouldn't do that.
You know exactly who I'm referring to, Mr. Bennett.
Like hell I do. You think after all this time, I'll suddenly accept this? That I'll act like everything's normal? It will never be normal! Not today, not tomorrow, and not 100 years from now! The idea of being stuck in this body, of being here for God knows how long, I can't take it! I won't ever be happy! Every time I try, I'm reminded of where I am, of what I am, and it disgusts me. I'm never asked to be this thing, and I don't want to be! So no. I have no friends. Because that would make this too hard.
Similar to Belladonna, Rev feels a sense of betrayal, right? As I said before, and like he says, right, he didn't ask to be brought to this world this way, right? He didn't even know that he was living a life that was pretty much being immortal, essentially, and unkillable. And because of that, he can't have a normal experience, right? None of this can be normal because he doesn't want that to be, right? And that, again, that is one of the major differences between him and Belladonna. Bella has also already had this entire mindset as well, right? That I can't do anything right, that people are going to be ashamed of me, that people are going to trick me and betray me, and I can't have real friends because I'll just be taken advantage of. And my vulnerability is a weakness, right? And I am responsible for whatever other people do, and, you know, et cetera, right? But again, the thing that separates them is that Belladonna, especially being here in Kade Academy, she sees this as a newfound way to go through with her life, right? Similar to how Professor Lovecraft had tried to tell Rev all the way back in episode number 5 that, like, you know, maybe you can see through this in a different perspective, right? Maybe you can create a better lifestyle. But again, like, Rev is so focused on the bad, right? The situation that he finds himself within that he can't, right? He can't even give himself the pleasure of being given a friend group, being put into a situation where he's supported, where he's loved and appreciated. No matter what really happens, it always just brings himself back to this entire instance, right? Again, it's like the freaking the white bear effect, right? You think about anything but a certain concept, and it'll make it harder to get rid of it in your mindset, right? You can't ever get rid of negative feelings. You can't ever get rid of trauma, right? But you can use that to make yourself a better person. You can adapt to it and use it to develop yourself into the idealized version of who we want to be, right? We don't want to be stuck being in a point of control where we can't ever grow, right? Rev's ideal version is being either dead or trying to gain control over this entire situation, right? But of course, the idealized version is the one that Viviana keeps telling him to do, right? Be someone who has these friends, who accepts this friend group, who accepts being able to live a life, right, that is full, that is really guaranteed to give him a contentness that he can't ever have no matter what. But he doesn't. He doesn't give himself the pleasure of doing any of this because, again, he sees himself as such a betrayed, a disconnected person from society, from mortality. And he doesn't even know, right? Maybe Belladonna could create a spell to make herself immortal, right? But as far as we're aware, Mark, Sarah, and Rev are pretty much the most immortal people that you can ever have. And yes, they will be there probably until the end of time, same as Mark. But even still, he won't accept this because it's not normality, right? He's been, similar to Bella, he's been around humanity for so long, so many points in his life, that it's the only thing that he recalls and that he knows, right? And again, going back home is not even the point here. Now it's literally just destroying himself permanently. Because back home, that's just another lie. It's going back to parents who had lied to him, who treat every single thing that he does as just another attempt at living a life that he knows now is just a complete sham, no matter what happens, right? So of course he's going to feel that way, no matter what happens as well. There's a concept called the locus of control. I believe it's made in the 1950s, coined by Julian, I believe, Hodel, if I'm correct. I believe it was him. But it's a 1950s concept brought in social psychology where individuals believe that anything that essentially happens in life can come from either their personal actions through internal means or external actions in general, right? And so internally, we believe ourselves that, like, oh, I am in control of my life, right? Anything that happens to me is of my own actions and my own choice, right? And of course, this causes us to have a higher motivation standard, higher resilience to being in pain and such, and better mental health entirely, right? External motivations, of course, cause more anxiety, helplessness, and a lower life satisfaction, in turn, as well averting us from, of course, the content life. And so because of that, we have these two aspects here, right? Either Rev can see that his own entire life is in his hands. Oh my God. That Rev's entire life is in his hands and his hands alone. Or he can say that, like, oh, no, everything is controlled by Viviana. Everything is controlled by external means that I cannot be there, right? Again, having friends, being aware that you have friends and being appreciative of that, right? And talking to people and letting them in your life, that is internal locus of control, right? That is an internal means to live our lives where we are able to purposefully and understandably choose these entire moments. But externally is believing that no matter what we do, there's always going to be something that stops you, right? Murphy's Law, for example, right? If something bad will happen, if something bad can happen, it will happen, right? That is external force of events. Everything that's happening in my life is either luck or something else entirely. No matter what we do, we're always going to make different excuses as to what exactly our lifestyle is going to be affected by, right? Like this chart, every single aspect of our actions are different external and internal means, right? We have these conflictions within ourselves. But again, if we continue to have that, then are we really living? I mean, probably not, you know? I mean, it is a strange situation to really find ourselves in, but it is purposeful, right? This is a really, it's a friggin' thinker of a question, honestly, but it makes a lot of sense that we would have this entire mindset no matter what. And it's sad. It really is a sad thing to really find ourselves within, but it is, the situation would happen if you are someone who's living for a long time. You start to kind of give this conflict of like, is this really a real life? I never wanted this, so is it conforming to something that I don't want? Does it make me weak to go along with something that, like, is giving me dissatisfaction, right? And that's always that kind of question, right? Are we weak for doing that? Are we someone who lets our vulnerabilities take control of us, right? So again, who really knows, honestly? But here, Viviana is going to reveal that sometimes you really are affected by these external events.
And I know it can be easy.
Do you know what this place is, Mr. Bennett?
It's the void.
Indeed. And do you know what I am, Mr. Bennett?
A sociopathic monstrosity.
I am the void. Well, in essence anyway, a physical manifestation, if you will. The concept of nothing and everything simultaneously given shape. The world you live in, Mr. Bennett, was born from me, from the very realm you stand in. Think of it as my cosmic womb. I am the essence of all realities. I exist beyond the concepts of space and time. I know everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen, all at once, every single thing. So, you wonder why I keep you here? Why I've played this game of chess with you for as long as I have? Why I let you tear apart my school, defy rules, and do almost anything you please? It's because, Mr. Bennett, we are slaves to fate. Everything that will happen has already been preordained. I know how it all ends. And
again, like, it's an entire aspect of, like, literally her using external locus of control to pretty much know that, right? She knows exactly what it is that's going to happen no matter what. And because of that, she creates this entire situation where nothing like that will ever actually matter, right? And so she's pretty much telling him that, like, yeah, like, he has this small moment of, like, recognition that what he's doing isn't good, but he knows that he can take the path of least resistance and just remove himself from the equation. But again, what did she say, right? She's the personification of everything and nothing, right? That means even if he did get expelled, right, expunged from existence and turn into nothing, he would still be part of her, right? And that's what she's saying, right? She is pretty much the physical manifestation of everything. This is the final aspect of showing him that there truly is nothing he can do to escape her, because everywhere he goes, she literally is, right? And she's aware of everything that's going to happen no matter what. So at the end of the day, even if he has a victory, even if he has a concept of control, it's something that she already knew would happen, right? And so she lets him do this, right? There is no point in stopping him at this point, because she's about to say everything he's got to do is necessary no matter what. But again, immediately that final aspect of taking away his sense of control is entirely what she does, right? She serves as this conceptual enemy to him throughout the entire series, right? Why change when everything can just be the same again and again and again, you know? So again, it's really, really, really strong of a statement to really make, honestly.
No. That letting you run rampant is all a part of Destiny's grand scheme.
What the hell is wrong with you? Why do you rehabilitate monsters then?
Unlike you, Mr. Bennett, I do not question my role. Destiny dictates that I head this school, and thus I do. for we are all slaves to fate.
Then you know what I intend to do next.
I do, Mr. Bennett.
And you're not going to stop me?
No, Mr. Bennett. You see, even though I know exactly what will happen, it would be cruel of me to deny you that illusion of choice. Whatever decision you make here, I want to be yours, even though I already know the outcome.
Then, this is it?
Perhaps, yes. But, if I may, Mr. Bennett, this game that we have played, it was a good one. Regardless of your next actions, I already know that they will result in the best outcome for my school and my students. So, go on, Mr. Bennett. I will stand in your way no longer.
And I think it also goes to show that, like, with Rev's confliction, like we said before, is that he's worried about, like we saw at the end of episode 6, that he's worried that if he leaves or tries to ignore them, that, like, Sarah, that Mark, that Bella are all going to be pretty much alone, and that they're not going to know what to do, right? But as Viviana said here, right, either way, whatever you choose to happen, it will benefit the school, right? Now, again, whether or not it says it's going to benefit his friends, it really depends, right? But again, it's such a difficult situation to really find out at the same time. Especially because of the fact that, like, yeah, it's like you showcase that this entire moment truly showcases how helpless his situation is. But, you know, does that mean that he should change it or that it doesn't matter at all? I don't know. Again, it is a very, very important concept to really find out. But I don't know. I think it is entirely part of, like, our choices to make, right? I mean, if you were to say, like, oh, that it didn't matter whatever he does because his friends would be fine, that's also pretty understandable. Because even if he did disappear, he has impacted them enough so like that they can actually live their lives no matter what happens, right? But again, if he doesn't kill himself and he does stay in the school and he does befriend them, they also grow as people even more, right? And they have his company to support them along the way. So again, it is a very important aspect to really have no matter what happens here.
Finally, I have it. The Necronomicon. Freedom. What the hell? What the hell do you want?
You hold the book that binds me. You can set me free, and I can grant you.
My wish? You can grant me my wish? I don't need anyone, creature! Not anymore. My wish? I can grant it myself.
Yep.
I don't need you to set me free. You need me.
Absolute independence until
And
the
I'm not sure
very end. That is one of the biggest things that defines Rev, no matter what.
Destroy it!
So he's going to free himself from the binds of this place, of course, and return back to normal.
Well, did you want to go to that dance with me or not?
Of course, I would love to. I'm just a bit confused on why you had to ask me here.
Privacy, duh. I didn't want those annoyingly sweet friends of yours to get in the way.
Right. I just wish I could tell Rev about this. He'd pretend not to care. I don't know. He's my roomie. It'd be nice if...
I didn't invite him. I invited you. So forget about that loner and enjoy your time with me instead.
What are we doing?
Whatever we want, Kiwi.
Yeah.
Like, even until the end, it is a complete flip-flop of no matter what happens. This hierarchy of relationships is... Right now, he's flipping between the two of this, but of course, his origin relation with Rev is remaining strong until the very end, no matter what.
Okay. Deep breaths, Mark. Don't mess this up. You can do this. Just focus. Narissa, what happened?
You stupid little freak! You ruined everything!
Yeah, I have a habit of doing that.
Wait, you were actually going to eat me?
Duh, you idiot! I thought you were the perfect chump too! Thanks for ruining my meal, Revenant!
She was really going to eat me.
Obviously, you moron.
But you saved me.
Hold on, no.
I knew it! I knew you actually cared!
I don't.
You stood up for me, man. You actually had my back. I'm sorry for doubting you.
It was a mistake.
Too late, man. You're officially my forever BFF.
Stop! Does not want.
I'm not your damn friend.
Because he's done too much. He's done so much bad, so much good at the same time. But he doesn't see any of that, honestly. And now we're going to see someone who does recognize his efforts. And someone who does question his motivations here, his conviction.
It's fine.
Because, you know, he's in a sense almost like him.
I finally have it. All that's left is to...
Hey, Rev. I was looking for you.
Well, you found me.
Yep. Looks like I did. Look, I can't tell what you want. One minute I think we're getting along, and then the next... I wanted to tell you that dance is tomorrow, and I'm going.
You are? But I thought...
I'm sick of living my life afraid. I had the worst night of my life that night.
I love how she's telling him, right? Because again, from the letters, she sees him as an inspiration. He's the one who has affected her for like a majority part of her life, or a majority part of her life here right now, more recent life. But like even still, it is an impact, and it is strong, and it is something that she holds really close. And like now, it's like, yeah, whether or not he's going to the dance with her or not, she's still going because she wants to have fun, right? Oh my god! Like every time I hear about Bella's story, it's just such a good message, especially for people who are like more isolated or introverted or whatever the case is, right? To showcase that like you can still have an independent aspect. That's why I said before that it's not like they wrote Rev where all these characters rely on him and such, right? But she holds her own independence, right? I mean, that is part of her entire character journey, is being more independent, being more confident and assured of herself, right? And that's entirely what this whole thing is. It's her being understanding.
I want a chance to have a good one this time. I wanted to share it with you.
And it is reformation. In fact, the matter being, I wouldn't be surprised if in episode 8 or whatever at the end, like they are all allowed to leave the school and stuff. Because yeah, like I think at this point they are showing human qualities. Bella, like Mark said, right? Bella's the most human out of all of them, and I still stand by that. I think she does showcase the most care, the most empathy, the most everything, right? But again, it is entirely part of like, is Rev going to entertain that idea of being close to somebody, or is it something entirely different?
I don't know if that's what you want too, though. I'll be honest, I wish I knew you a little better, but I still want to go with you. So, maybe I'll see you there. Or maybe I won't, I don't know. Night, Rev.
Again, there is that connection, right? That final nail in the coffin, right? And it's that final confliction that drives him between wanting to escape, right? Wanting to define his life, his legacy by himself, and something else entirely, right? And again, that is entirely at that point, right? He's so self-assured about his destiny, right? He has this internal LOC, but his external values, right? His external impacts of his life are caused by both Viviana here and Belladonna. And it's like, and of course by Mark and Sarah and all these relationships that he's built with people, where it's like, yeah, I want to live a good life, but can I do that, right? I mean, she even said that she doesn't know whether or not he wants to live a good life. If he wants to keep being stubborn and do whatever the case is, right? But I don't know. I think it is definitely part of that, honestly. And we will see what's going to happen. Pretty sure episode 8 is getting involved in the giant monster, but like, who knows? And that is episode 7. All right. I'm not letting a single second of the new episode come by with me, but again, we are going to see the final episode, about an hour or so in length, I believe. But oh my god, this has been quite a journey, and we are going to see it into the next one. So I will see you guys there. Welcome back, Seekers, to the final episode of Freak Show, in which we will find out whether or not this show will be getting a second season. Though I will say myself, if the ending is pretty satisfying or not, though again, my own opinions, doesn't necessarily create any objective meaning. I'll leave that up to someone else. But today is going to be the day where we finally finish this full reaction series of everything here as well. Again, the future, I will see what else people want an analysis of as well. I am planning on doing Monument Valley after this, but again, we will leave future plans for the future, and we will see how it is that this entire story ends. Again, this entire show has been something I just found myself while scrolling for more Athma videos, since I was feeling reminiscent of everything. But we will indeed see where this ends up. I even have some little treats right next to me here that I will be eating while watching this. And I'm going to say that in this entire thing, we'll look at a more just reaction-based aspect. Instead of just complete psychological analysis, we will look at this. If I find that there's something I want to say, then we will pause it, obviously. I'll pause it anyway because of, the copyright sentinels are watching me with great vision today. But we will lead ourselves on. Thank you for being such excellent seekers and your patience and time, and we shall finish everything today. The video should be out actually by Friday, I believe, tomorrow. And by then, we will have finished everything here. I thank you for your patience. I thank you for pretty much everything. And let us continue.
So, not this week either?
I'm sorry, hon. You know how these mass exhumations go. Your father and I will bring you back an extra souvenir from Paris. I promise.
Right.
Just do your homework in the meantime. There should be plenty of food in the fridge. And keep an eye on Raven, will you?
Sure, whatever.
Thank you, my sweet boy. I love you.
Clearly a flashback.
Nikia.
Yeah, one of the only connection he has back home.
It's just me and you again, Kat. What would you do without me, huh? You'd be...
Oh, ironically enough, right? For the question that he asked at the end of episode number 6. He's always had a knack for helping other people, right? And of course, I think Raven is one of those initial examples of that, right? A home remedy for that, right? A more familiar example, if you will.
rotting in the ground without me around. At least I'm alive. It's really all I've got. Sorry, Cat. In order for a mortal to use the Necronomicon, blood must be spilled. Not an eldritch horror like that professor.
We are.
That should do it. Stop looking at me like that. You don't need me anymore, Cat. You'll be fine without me.
And again, that's always been the main entire questioning, right? Like, that's what we said at the end of episode 7, right? Is that truly the case, right? Is that kind of fate really something that will occur? I don't think it is. I think people will always require help, no matter what. And that's nothing to ever be ashamed of course. You know, I think that, you know, comes without reason, but still. Never to be ashamed about needing help or, you know, even when you are alone, to just have some level of connection with other people, honestly.
Shut up! I just need to recite the incantation, and my curse will be gone. Maledictionem meam Maledictionem meam mortis. Maledictionem meam mortis Damn it!
Guys, build it. And then again. Nope.
I'm not crazy.
Of course you're not, buddy.
We're not actually here.
Just figments of your imagination.
Love that troll.
Okay, maybe I am crazy.
We're the last things holding you back, man.
I see. You're my conscience, given faces. If I overcome you, I'll finally be done, right?
Come on, Rev. You don't really want to do this.
Why not?
Because you know how bummed I'll be without my BFF!
Your sorrow isn't my problem. I never wanted you to be my friend. Frankly, I always found you annoying.
Again, it's the lies that we tell ourselves, right? We want to push away, right? And again, we all have consciousness every single moment, every single day that guide our actions. But here it's like, yeah, you're trying to push back against something that could absolutely be true, right? But again, you don't want to admit it, right? You find fear and vulnerability, right? And so because of that, it's like, yeah, you don't want to be in a situation where you could be hurt, right? Which again, completely understandable. But again, these social anchors, they are needed, especially when you're in a point of self-destruction. Like I would say, like Reb is I don't know if it's like the best representation, but he is a pretty good representation of actual suicidal tendencies, where we tend to reject any aspect of social love or social care because it's easier to take that path of least resistance and just remove ourselves from the equation, right? Again, if a math equation is too difficult to solve, then it's better to just remove the numbers altogether, right? Will it provide a solution? No, right? But again, it's easier than struggling through it all. And so again, like it just makes a lot of sense.
You don't mean that.
You know I do. Maybe if you could grow a damn spine, I'd have remembered you differently.
What am I supposed to do without your guidance?
You've mistaken me for someone who cares.
But you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have helped me so much.
I told you what to do so you'd help me with my goals. It was never just for your benefit. It was always mine.
Which we know is completely inaccurate, considering one of the first things we saw about Rev in episode 1 was the fairness of benefit. That he does believe that if Sarah helping him meant that, like, oh, well, she could be free too at the same time. Now, is it in the past that he did care that much? Well, probably not, but he did find some level of, like, yeah, if I'm going and you want to come with me, yeah, absolutely, right? You helped me out, or you did this and that, right? So it's like, why not go, right? But of course, Sarah was a lot more realistic about the situation. And now it almost seems like that kind of thing has flipped
around.
You're lying! We wanted the same thing!
I thought we did too. But that was before you went and started caring.
You're really gonna stand me up too?
I didn't agree to come.
But you know I want you there.
Why? Why me? Out of everyone in this school, out of everyone you could have picked, why me?
I don't know. Because you don't either.
Whatever.
built-in thing.
I don't need an answer for this one.
I think it is an individual aspect, right? If he finds himself so revolting, so disgusting that his current existence is something he wants to erase from, his entire living standard, then, like, yeah, that is a question, right? Why me? Why someone who is so, like, mean, so stubborn, so whatever the case is, right? Because again, he can't see that good stuff. He's only lived his life isolated for an entirely different reason. It's like, yeah, why would it be himself at the same time? And that is the question.
Aren't you curious what it would be like?
What?
The dance. Aren't you curious? You know it's eating at you. Questions like that always have. You downplay it, but you can't help but want answers.
Answers won't matter to me in a few minutes.
What's hilarious is that we never actually got to see the sleepover in the intro, which is something I actually thought would have happened, at least by now. But maybe that is like showcasing the future of it all. So who knows? Maybe that will happen after the dance.
In not a few hours. You could always go see what it's like. Then come here and finish the job. There's no harm in it, right?
But there's no point either.
Why?
Because it's too late. I don't have a life worth living.
But you could pretend you do. For just one night.
Again, that brings up the conversation we said in episode 4, right? It's about masking, right? The masking is obviously an unhealthy coping mechanism, but even still, like, if it is for just this one moment, think of it like just another mask, right? And then maybe you can be changed by this one event, right? But again, like, it is part of, like, his entire journey to find this entire true meaning of life. What is these social relations? What are these social dynamics? What do they matter to someone like him, right? And I think it's just really, really great.
Just one night.
Just one night.
Fine, come on.
Oh, there you go.
Should be right up here.
Hey! You forgot your wristband! Hello? Oh, Miss Yaga's gonna yell at me for that. Oh! It's you. Rev Venet, right?
This is where the dance is?
Yes, but, pets aren't allowed. I'm sure it's fine, actually.
Good.
Wait, wristband! You need a wrist... Oh, man. Never mind.
Okay. Don't really know what to do now.
Oh, the professor!
That's it. Just...
I certainly didn't expect to see your face here, Mr. Venet. Though I hesitate to chastise you for it, as looking at you, for once, I don't see that scheming expression on your face.
We spoke him and Bella. I mean, it's it's obvious all the time.
If anything... Mr. Venet, are you... alright?
This was a mistake. I'm leaving.
No, please. Stay. I didn't mean to upset you, Rev.
Ooh, Rev.
However, if there is something bothering you...
Makes sense, right? First name bases are a lot more informal, a lot more intimate, right? Than the consistent Mr. Rev, Mr. Venet and stuff like that, right? Which makes sense for an academic environment, but even still, right? It just showcases that there is a personalization to it all.
My office is just up the stairs.
Like I
I forgot to mention, since you guys will probably see this in the notes no matter what, but in our Maslow's hierarchy here as well, this is a really important thing to really locate, where Rev is constantly right now. Like, physiological, I think at this point doesn't really matter because he's immortal. I think this has been erased since like the beginning of basic needs, right? And so it's like, what do we need the most versus what we don't need as well, right? Or sorry, what we don't need the most versus what we do need, right? It's the entire aspect of living as well, right? And safety and stuff like that. I mean, he is in an academy that is in a sense a bit safe, but it doesn't really matter. Social aspects, he's pretty much cut out every social element of his life, and his esteem is incredibly low, and self-actualization cannot happen without, of course, everything else here. It builds up to this ultimate point. So again, it is going to be really important to really see.
Talk with you. It's never worked once this semester. Why do you keep trying?
No harm in trying, is there? Give me a single thing to work with, young Revenant, just to humor me.
Which is also a good way to kind of describe therapy, because like a lot of therapists tend to, again, they rely on some level of context or some level of an idea to really work with, right? You can't help someone if they themselves do not give you anything to essentially work with, right? And so, that is one of the kind of unsung rules of therapy, which is that at a certain point, if nothing's working, then they will have to transfer you over to another therapist, or a therapist will have to transfer the client somewhere else or try another tactic, right? Because again, there's no shame in admitting when you have your own limitations, right? And as we're going to see here, like him describing that, like, he feels out of place. That makes actually a lot of sense, considering the fact that, like, yeah, he is there. But again, is he really out of place, right? I mean, there are characters who are angry all the time, like Wendy, mostly again because of Rev. But like, of course, immortality, like you have a bunch of characters here that are immortal, right? Like Bella's the only exception, I would imagine, unless she, like I said before, she does have a spell to turn herself immortal. But even still, makes sense.
I feel out of place.
Here, I'm sure if you just mingle with your classmates.
No, I mean in this world.
Because he's always been in the human, yeah. Again, it is weird that he feels that way, considering Belladonna does exist, right? It's one of those things where it's like you'll find an exception, but like, does it really count as an exception? I don't really know, right? Again, it is a really, really difficult situation to really find out because, well, technically you could argue that he is an exception, right? I mean, I don't know, because both of them do come from like the human world, but I don't know. It's an in and out kind of situation. I don't know. do give me your opinions on that in the comments, because I definitely think that they are a lot more similar than they are different. But of course, Rev, I guess, wouldn't just recognize that at all. So, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
This world wasn't built for monsters. You know this. We live in shadows to let civilization survive. For the longest time, I too thought there was no place here for me. I believed beings of my stature were never meant to frolic amongst humans. But who made that rule, After pondering for several centuries, I realized no one had. I was simply choosing a life I wasn't satisfied with.
Yeah, we put in these boundaries, these moments in our life where we don't want to admit that maybe we are wrong, maybe we do deserve a chance and such, right? But again, we set up these biases that is essentially around us, right? Like confirmation bias is a heavy enemy when you are going through a downward spiral in your life as well, where every single little thing you are picking out details that support your own entire ideas as to why it is you deserve this, or why it is that this life has to happen, right? It doesn't have to happen. We just choose to define it as something that is necessary to, again, continue our aspect of being miserable in general.
You were miserable once?
I wasn't unhappy, Mr. Vennet, but I wasn't happy either. I simply subsisted in endless cosmic nothingness, waiting for the eventual death of the universe. But then I realized, humans right. They dance. They live, Mr. Vennet. And I realized I didn't want my existence to end. I simply wasn't satisfied with the life I was living. So I stole a new one in pieces. Little human things, like saying hello to a stranger and buying food at a grocery store. And as I did these things, my life became one worth living.
We often have little aspects of our life that, in cultural anthropology, we call them our rituals, right? Which are essentially little moments in our life that are like patterns, something that you do every single day. Just like a person would normally brush their teeth every morning and such. We have little aspects of our life that are pretty much continuous, right? And, sometimes those little moments are entirely based around those situations at the same time, right? These small little cultural identities that we have, our languages, our arts, like Lovecraft said, right? Our dances and stuff. These are all moments that are entirely important because of the fact that they are what everything is about there, right? Whether you're immortal and live forever, or whether you're situating for a more content lifestyle of being alone, that does not change, right? People still need that stimulation. People still need those things to be built as society, right? And because of that, you require yourself to go through all these entire situations. You could definitely try to avoid them, but that miserable life isn't really living life at all, right? We mentioned our 3 paths in lives as well. And that is something that is there, right? You can either take the easy path and just remove yourself away. You can obsess over every little aspect and ensure that you are living a life by trying to pretend to do so. Or you can actually be fulfilled with everything that you're doing, right? Be fulfilled with the culture of the world around you as well, right? And that is an important aspect to live by. And that is what makes us human. And in a sense here, even what makes an immortal person still human, still living.
If nothing else, Mr. Vennet, why not steal a piece of humanity tonight? Who knows? Maybe you'll like it more than what you currently have. But the cat can't be here.
Then you go get her.
I'll leave you be now, Rev Vennet. Though, just to make sure, I don't have to worry about any funny business, do I?
I left my book at the dorm. Figured you'd take it anyway.
I always knew you were quite smart.
Since life was never in question, I think that was always...
Steal a piece, huh?
That makes sense, honestly.
How do I... Bella?
Oh, there she is.
Where'd she go?
You actually came to the dance?
Damn, he's looking like his father.
You
What
said
the
it was
heck?
stupid when I tried to bring you along earlier.
It is stupid. I'm also here, so...
Don't tell me. You came here for me?
I've said before, Mark is still like socially unaware of things like that, right? He puts himself into these equations, but even still, he's such a wholesome guy. He's a freaking amazing person.
No!
Kidding. No, you probably didn't. It was really cool seeing you here, but I'll, get out of your way now.
Wait.
Huh?
I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Really? It's a dance, Rev.
Kind of out of my element here, vampire.
Ruth.
Well, you hang out with people, drink punch, vibe to music, you know, the works.
Cool.
I think there is that narrative irony, right? That the person who was born around human society knows less about interaction and social dynamics than people like like Mark, who have pretty much never seen humanity's lifestyle and such, right? But again, I think it's part of that entire situation where him and Sarah have been here for such a long time, like years and years and years, that like, yeah, eventually you start to pick it up. Even if it is in the back of your mind, even if it is unconscious, even if it's not really a heuristical condition that we have, it's still entirely part of our lives, and that's exactly how we live as well. It's a really fun thing.
Do that.
Wait, seriously?
Don't make me regret.
Hell yeah! I'm gonna get you something to drink.
Hey, vampire! How am I supposed to keep up with that? Whatever, I just need a... Huh?
What's wrong with you?
Boo.
Ah! What the hell do you think you're doing?
I was going to ask that. Why are you stalking the vampire?
I'm not doing that.
You clearly are. What, are you gonna try eating him again?
No! It's just that loser came to this dance alone. He should be miserable. So why does he look so freaking happy?
Uh-oh, somebody's regretting her decisions. Again, that's what we said before about Kade Academy and how it's different from like a traditional human school, is that like with these monsters, it's all about like just living for yourself and doing all these things, right? That's the whole point of them being reformed, is to, you know, not do that. So of course she would be confused, right? Similar to how we said about Sarah in episode 7, where she was confused as to why Rev didn't need her for this, right? Is that kind of conditioning that they are a lot more susceptible to, I would say, than even humans themselves are. But, you know, it makes a lot of sense.
Why does it matter to you?
Because it doesn't make any sense.
So, he should be miserable being alone because...
Oh.
You are...
One of the first socially aware things that Rev has said for a while now. Exactly the point, right? Again, this is an analysis. This is what empathy actually means, right? I mean, considering the fact that, you know, he wants to be alone too himself. But entirely there. Ooh. Get it right in the chest.
You're such a creep, you know that?
I've been told.
Just get out of my way.
Hey, Rev! I got you some punch!
Really? This is blood.
Yeah! Is that not what punch is? So, this is great.
Not really.
Yeah, no, not really.
You get the group together.
Where's Sarah?
Huh? Oh, I don't actually know. So, know any good stories?
This sucks.
You're right. I'm sorry I'm not the best company.
And that's the thing, right? I like how they also showed this, because we kind of saw this a bit in episode 2, but the dynamic between Mark and Rev has always been one of like backwards and, or what we said before, it was like push and pull, right? You can't go in the same direction with that. But if you're in a network of company, if you are with other friends, it's far more easier to do that at the same time, because it's entirely brought on by that entire reasoning at the same, you know, moment as well. That's also why I think Mark and Sarah are like such good company too, because of the fact that Sarah is pretty much a blank wall, and she's not really, leaving, or really, she doesn't really leave or go away from any place that is trying to interact with her, or any person who is doing that. Which is why every time Mark talks to her, she's willing to stand there by and not even run away, which gives them pretty much a good outlet to essentially just blab on again and again, But again, you require the whole network sometimes to really go through with that as well. I mean, I think it really depends, because sometimes two friends are just able to do that, but that's if these two friends have connected for a while, which of course, with Rev and Mark, not necessarily going to be the case as well. But let's go find Miss Sarah.
I realize that I've been really pushy, and that you don't really like hanging out with me. So, thanks for trying anyway.
I wonder.
Huh? Wonder what?
Remember when you pushed that harpy off the roof?
Yeah, I still have nightmares about it.
I didn't fully hate you then.
Exactly. That's what I was saying about episode 2, is that's one of the only times where, or one of the only parts of the episode I think that was worth exploring, to be honest. But I mean, the episode isn't bad, right? But it's definitely my least favorite out of all of them. I mean, we're gonna see with episode 8, but so far they're doing such a good job of showing just emotional awareness and everything between. But honestly, though, when it comes into this, I think it's part of that whole situation as well, where we are made aware of ourselves and people around us. And again, he's showing social awareness, right? That he knows that like he's been a bit pushy, that he shouldn't do this, he shouldn't do that, right? And again, he's gaining the social awareness a lot. And I think it's a really fun thing to really look into that whole situation as well. But yeah, I mean, suffice to say, they're doing a really good job with this whole entire situation here. And even Rev himself is pretty much being aware of like, yeah, I didn't really hate you during that moment, right? Because again, he was making a good point. And why go through all this difficult work when you could take the path of least resistance, in this case, by actually being nice, or by being kind, not pushing students off of roof.
Really?
It was actually probably one of the only times I had a modicum of respect for you. You realize you're too naive for your own good, right? Take that siren, for instance.
Oh, you don't have to remind me.
What if we could fix that?
What do you mean?
I have an idea. Follow me. Okay, this way. There, that should do it.
We allowed in here when Miss Yaga isn't around?
Who cares? That's not the point. What we're going to do next is... Yes! This is more than enough.
Have I ever mentioned how much I hate it when you smile like that?
Here, vampire, take this.
What's this?
A simple transformation elixir that turns people into frogs.
Okay, turns people into... What?
Here, I'll show you.
What are they gonna do? Oh.
Hello.
Oh my god.
It worked!
Now there, Baba Yaga. Oh my god.
You can't just turn people into frogs!
Listen up, vampire. Don't you see the vision? That teacher always threatens to turn us into toads. I say we give her a taste of her own medicine.
Oh.
What did they have to do with this?
Oh, I was demonstrating a point, obviously.
Rev, this is a horrible idea! Did you
should you do this in real life? Not really. This is, of course, taking someone, out of their comfort zone, which you should definitely, of course, ease a person into that if that's what you want to do. But, of course, this isn't a traditional situation.
Have any idea how much trouble we'll get into if we get caught?
Just don't get caught, vampire. Don't you think she deserves some comeuppance?
I mean...
Alright.
She is kinda mean, but...
Whoa, you skipping the dance? That's pretty, hardcore, man.
Yeah.
Can I join?
No.
Yeah, you're right. That was a dumb question. Idiot Harry.
Mark hit him with the potion.
What? No! I'm not going to do that!
You see, this is what I mean! You wonder why I can't tolerate you, and this is why!
Because I don't commit random acts of violence?
Because we don't have anything in common!
That is true. That's what I was saying before, is that, you know, that is one of the only things, of course, that what makes Bella and Rev so similar, is that, like, there is no aspect of like, differences between, like, how they act. There's a difference between the act. I'm saying, like, in terms of their, like, background and stuff, it's a similar aspect of being in the human world, having knowledge of the occult and of, you know, necromancy and all this stuff, right? It's like, it's really common ground. But when it comes, of course, to, like, you know, Mark and Sarah, there pretty much isn't any of that stuff, right? With Sarah, you know, it's always been used as, like, oh, it doesn't matter because she's helping me out and whatever the case is, right? But it's true, they don't have a lot in common,
this school?
honestly.
I hate it! You have morals. I don't. But guess what? You've been here longer than me. It means one of us is doing something wrong. Just go back to the dance. I'll finish the prank myself.
Wait, Rev!
So annoying. I gave him the perfect opportunity. He just... Whatever. Guess some people can't change. It's just a complete waste of time. I'll just finish this up and then I guess head back to my dorm. Let's see, where are they? Aha! There! Alrighty. Bombs away, Teach! Let's see how you like it for once! Let's see, that hit? Wait, why is there only one frog? The hell? Where did she...
Mr. Venice.
Oh.
Just what do you think you're doing?
Well, you know... This! Uh-oh.
It's been years since a student has gone out of their way to incur my wrath.
Oh dear.
I finally have an opportunity to properly punish you.
See, I sorta already have plans for tonight.
Not anymore.
Damn it!
Oh my god. Consequences, baby.
Crap! I'll be able to finish the ritual tonight if she catches me!
End of the line, boy. You've been a right pain in my rear all semester. So I'm going to enjoy this.
You're lucky I don't have my book.
It wouldn't make a difference, Revenant. A witch of my age can predict anything and everything.
Yep. I knew that was gonna happen. Oh my god.
Oh my god. You did it.
Miss Yaga, I'm so sorry! Please don't kill me for this!
Eat it, witch!
We're dead. We're so dead. When she de-transforms, we're gonna be in so much trouble!
Who cares? That was awesome!
Ow!
This is what I meant! Damn, if you were like this more often...
Wait. We could actually be friends?
Vampire, I always wondered. You're sociable and sickeningly nice to the point of self-detriment. You can have whatever friends you want. So, why the hell do you keep trying to be mine?
Right, same question that he gave to, of course, you know, Bella, you know, or conscious version of Bella in his mind, right? It's the same thing, right? Why him? Why just him, right? And that is a good question for, like, just a person in general, right? Especially for Mark, right? Why is it just, of course, Rev? Why is it Rev versus anyone else, you know? And I think that's always been a good question at the same time, because it's like, it's built on an idea of, like, you know, am I really this special? Am I really helping people around me? But again, like, I think it is a good idea. It's like, why is it just him, right? And I think it's also because of the fact that, like, everyone else is they probably like don't like him the same way that like Rev doesn't, because it's like, oh, he's too much, or he's too pushy, or he's too much of like a connected factor. But I don't know. I think it is a really good question to ask that. Why is it just him? Right. Well, we know why from the letters. Right? There is a connection to be made there.
Because you're cool, man. And I kind of want to be like you.
God damn it.
Huh? What?
You're like that damn angel! I'm not.
Yeah, let's say it's a similar aspect of like trying to gain it, but and again, there is a fundamental truth that he's not the best person to really follow along with, but again, he is inspirational, and that is something you can't really take away.
Teacher.
My bad, dude. Could you settle for, I don't know, roommate then?
Yeah. Yeah, that one's fine.
Cool! Then, I'll be the best roommate you could ask for, man. Within reason. That frog thing still has me stressed out.
Speaking of Sarah, where the hell is she?
Huh. Now that you mention it, I couldn't find her when I was looking for you guys earlier.
She's normally butting into my business by this point.
Let's go hunt her down then. Come on. All right. Now we just need to find Sarah.
Oh no!
Oh
no!
Cool it, vampire! Okay, if we just sneak past, then...
You!
Damn it!
Oh, we've been looking all over for you.
Are you trying to hide or something?
Because... we want to freaking thank you!
Huh?
Lovecraft told us how you vouched for our resurrections.
Yep.
I didn't realize you were actually sorry.
Indeed. It almost makes me forget about how you scorched my face off a second time.
Rev, you did that?
I refuse to confess to that.
Wait, so you guys aren't mad?
Why would we be? Red Venom rocks!
Ow, 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 ow.
Oh, darlings. I can't wait to hit the stage again! I wonder what my next role would be. Perhaps I may reprise Hedda Gabler.
Aw. I always wanted to see that one, but my dad...
You're a fan of theater, my darling?
Well, kinda.
Oh, my stars! You're breathtaking, honey!
What? He's not that good looking!
Hey! Beat it, Siren! Got you back here, you little...
Oh my god. There she is.
Sarah?
Oh, hi.
Nothing to say?
Not really.
How come you didn't track me down?
I didn't know you were here.
Why? What happened to Divine Sight?
That's what I was thinking.
I wasn't looking. I didn't.
Right, yeah, because that's what I was saying in the last episode, where I'm just like, why doesn't she know where he is or what he's doing at all times, considering her divine sight? I imagine that it had to do with, like, intention, where you have to have, like, the intention of looking for them, and then you can use it, right? So, yeah, that does actually make a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense at all.
Didn't think you wanted me to.
But see, like, she's also socially aware of that. Like, yeah.
Right.
Why are you here?
I'm trying to figure that out myself. What about you?
Same.
Oh my god, such good storytelling. I love how, like, yeah, for each person, it's asking the question that he's always wondered, right? Why is it just him? And it's always referring back to it because that is his questioning, right? What makes me so valuable? What makes me so, like, influencing, right? And, you know, that is a question that he gives himself, right? And it's, oh my god, such good storytelling. I love it so much. Oh my god.
Why is it that you only do things that I tell you to?
I don't know.
Okay. Try to give me an answer this time, will you?
I really don't know. I don't understand things. But for some reason, you make them easy to comprehend.
So, if I wasn't around...
That's what I always thought, yeah, is that, like, not only does she... I mean, we said before, right, when it comes into Sarah's entire case, I know I said I wasn't going to do as much of this in this episode, but it's just more of a review of everything that we said so far, right? Like, yeah, one of the things that she needs is a understanding of these kind of things as well, especially for this one, projection of need, and that's what he's saying, like, would you go back to being where you were, right? I mean, if she says yes, then the number 3 is always going to be correct, that she always needs stimulation and action and mobility from where she is currently. If she says no, and then she should just keep living the way she is, and that means number 3 has officially been pretty much solved, at least in her case. So it is a lot easier to kind of see things from that perspective as well.
Do you just go back to how you were?
Maybe.
Oh.
Okay, we're fixing that.
Huh?
You have emotions, Sarah. However muddled they are.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said during one of the recordings that you guys couldn't hear, but that's exactly what I was saying before, is that Sarah does have emotions. They're just really, really stamped down. Like, they're really numbed to the point where it makes it seem like she doesn't, right? I mean, we said that before, that she has what we call the neutral scaling of emotional intelligence. She's trying to figure out where her emotions really are, honestly. But, like, yeah, I like that as well.
You skip class on your own. You devour my food on your own. And you chose to attach yourself to me like a parasite.
Yeah, she has agency just like he does.
That means you feel things. You just don't get it. And you're gonna need to.
I thought you were upset with me.
I'm not.
Aww.
Okay. I'm hungry.
There we go. Let's get you some food. Okay, it's just... What the hell? This table was full like 3 seconds ago!
Hey, he's not dead. Huzzah!
My bad, bro.
Stupid Oni!
Aw. I wanted food.
Listen, Sarah. If you want something, you take it.
From his stomach?
No, idiot! From the kitchen! Follow me. Should be right here. Just, why is the door already open? And
Ow.
Oh, Sam Motory.
Ow.
what the hell are you doing?
Ow.
Yeah, even she's just...
Door. Won't open. Ow. Ow. Yay.
All right, Angel. Go get some food.
How?
What do you mean, how? You make it. We're in a kitchen.
I don't know how to do that.
They don't know how to make it.
God.
Okay, he doesn't, he shouldn't be surprised by that. Literally, the whole episode 6, he saw that, yeah, they couldn't make a burger. He had to make it for them. That's not really that much of a surprise. Well, I guess it was just a burger and not like anything else. So I guess I can excuse at least that for a little bit.
God. Okay, just watch. Move it, zombie. Grab this, and then some of that. I'll need this. And then, I think it's in here. Here. Okay, grab that. And that. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna show you how to cook now. Got it? Okay, so first, you chop this. Alright. And then, you put water in this.
You're good at this.
Kinda have to be if you want to eat. It's not always gonna be someone to cook for you.
Sam can cook.
No, she can't.
I can't. Rev made me.
Huh?
What? Shut it, Sam!
Wait. The undead exam.
Stop. Do not!
You were possessing Sam at the restaurant.
Yep.
You made the burger.
Yep.
No, I didn't!
Yeah, he did.
Zombie!
Oh, no, Sam.
Wait. I thought I was your guardian angel.
Aw.
But You've been looking after me just as much as I have for you.
No.
You're the one who saved me. There's no one like you, Rev.
And again, that's another piece of that puzzle, right? Why him? Well, again, because he is that person, right? He helps others. Even if he, tries to admit that he can't or won't or doesn't like other people.
I've lived for centuries, and several more might pass before I think I ever meet another you. So, thank you for existing.
Yeah, this whole story literally is an analogy for suicide and depression. Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
Why are you quiet now?
Just thinking.
Okay. Can you teach me something else?
Huh? What?
Come here.
Hello? Is someone out there?
No.
There. I want to know what that is.
What, dancing?
No, the holding thing.
Oh. They're dating.
Dating? What is dating?
It's... do you really have to know?
Yes.
Well, it's when two people like each other and they do things. Like kiss and stuff.
You sound confused.
Yeah, well, I don't have much experience with this myself.
I want to try this. Dating.
God, not with me, you idiot!
Oh my god.
God, not with me, you idiot!
Oh, is that not right?
No!
I'm confused. You need to demonstrate this for me.
How? What are you... Whoa, 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 whoa!
Huh? Sarah, did you need something? Oh.
Hey.
Hi.
This dating thing is very weird.
Dating?
We're not dating, Angel!
I thought Bella asked you to the dance.
Well, I did, but clearly he didn't come for me.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted me here.
You idiot! Why do you think I asked you?
Oh, hey! You found Sarah! And Bella!
Do not start with me, Mark.
Yeah, shut it, vampire!
Okay! I clearly walked in on something.
Just, why didn't you come and say something to me?
I was going to.
When? After the dance ended?
No, just... sometime.
Forget it, Rev.
But...
I said, forget it!
You gotta go after her, man.
How? She just went towards the girls' bathroom.
So?
Oh my god. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, again, it's completely rational, right? I mean, she felt betrayed by him, like, initially. And, she still has hope for him, right? I don't think there is a complete lack of it, but, like, is he really just, playing another game here, or is this actually genuine, right? You can't really tell a lot of times. Even though she could tell that he was, like, genuinely happy when they were doing the little goo ball thing, but I don't know. I think it is a really interesting situation to find yourself into, but yeah, you do need to sometimes take the accountability for certain actions and go after them.
I'm not a...
Ironic enough, they were talking about Bella about this, but like, still, my point stands.
Oh. God! Fine! Bella, you in here? I can literally see her feet under the door.
She's not here! Go away!
Did you honestly think that was going to work?
Shut up! I don't know what to say in this situation.
Then don't say anything. I'll talk. I lied. I did know you wanted me here.
Accountability.
And I'm not stupid. I realize you want to be my friend.
Social awareness.
For whatever reason.
Being realistic.
But I always had a goal in mind.
Narrow-minded.
Ever since I got here.
First.
That goal relied on nothing here being worth sticking around for. So, I tried not to let anything change my mind.
Obstacles, external
Because
LLC. Yep.
if it did, it would just make it all harder. But guess what? It didn't work. In the end, I came here. And against my better judgment, I'm making this more complicated. And the only reason I did that was because of you. Because I couldn't stop thinking of you standing in that hallway, telling me that you want me here, despite how hard I try to keep you away. So really, this is all your fault, Witch.
Again, an amazingly interconnected way of saying that, because it's like we said before, right? One of Bella's problems in the past, and even a little bit into the future, was that she has hyper responsibility, right? She takes accountability for stuff that she doesn't need to, and yet, of course, that is like a really funny way of ending it off, where it's like, yeah, this is your fault this time around because you actually did something, but what you did was positive, And again, it's similar to Rev, right? You influence other people, and people will influence you back as well.
You're the most human by far.
Aww. But connecting back to episode 6.
You moron! You selfish, narcissistic, odious little asshole!
Oof. I think she's also one of the old characters that does curse. Which does also make her
Why
mean.
didn't you just say all that in the first place? Here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna go out there. You are gonna dance with me. And we're gonna have a good night. Or else. Okay?
That sounds like a threat.
It is a threat! Now come here!
Wait, Bella!
Hell yeah.
Bella, hang on! I don't know how to do this.
Me neither. So, let's figure it out together, okay?
Hell yeah.
That was so beautiful! Right, Sarah?
Want a date?
Oh my god.
I always wanted to do this.
I don't get all the fuss. It's just moving.
But it's what humans do. So, I think that makes it special enough.
Yeah, that's
Hell yeah.
that's true.
I think humanity's always been a big theme of her art
I like
as well.
it.
Me too.
And again, this references back to Lovecraft's at the beginning of this, right? Small little moment.
There you go. No potions needed this time. Say, this upcoming semester we have to take Alchemy 102. And you weren't a bad lab partner. Definitely not a good one, but not a bad one either.
Aw.
Thanks.
So, would you want to be my lab partner again next semester?
Rev Venet!
Oh, there we go.
Rev Venet.
I was waiting for this because I was saying before, like, the only person that we're missing now is literally Wendy. So it's like, what is gonna happen here? Did she steal the book, or did she do something? Because like Wendy's confrontation was one that I was actually expecting to see here as well.
What do you want, Wendigo?
Ha! What do I want? What do I want? Zombie boy, what the hell do you want? I thought you wanted to die. And yet here you are. Still alive and dancing with the witch.
I'm immortal, you insufferable little...
Oh, cut the crap, zombie boy. I know about the book.
Huh? Book?
I knew it ever since I saw that glint in your eye on the field trip.
Yep.
That Necronomicon. That was your ticket, wasn't it?
Rev, what is she talking about?
I don't...
And lo and behold, guess who managed to pluck it straight from Lovecraft's fingers? Why, it couldn't be anyone other than the great Rev Venet himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course you'd be the one to pull it off. No one ever shuts the hell up about you.
You stole that book? After everything I told you?
Bella,
So picture my surprise when I saw you set up your little ritual to get everything ready to finally make your grand escape. Only for you to get cold feet at the last second.
You were watching me?
Of course I was. See, my plan was to mess up your little plan and get you expelled. That way I'd be rid of you and get the last laugh. But you...
I'm surprised she just didn't let him do the ritual then, or just have done it anyway. So I guess, he did stop himself from doing it, but like, if he did go through with it, then like, she would have gotten what she wanted to. Because for her, I mean, again, it is difficult for Wendy's case. She's always surrounded by everything about Rev, because again, his influence is so broad and overencompassing on everyone, even people who aren't the main four, right? Or the main three, I should say, plus Rev. But like, because his influence is so overcompensating, again, she does not she can't handle that, right? But again, we'll save more for like her analysis video, but like, it makes a lot of sense that she would be this upset about it.
Clearly, you went and changed your mind. You plan on sticking around now, don't you? I'm sick of you being here, Revenant. You get to do whatever the hell you want, and yet I step one toe out of line and I get threatened for it. I get turned into a frog.
Oh, yeah, okay, so I was correct. Okay, or, I didn't say it in like, these videos, but, like, my opinion on what Viviana told her was the threat of being, like, expunged and expelled. Maybe, because I'm pretty sure she's the one who also told, Wendy, like, Viviana told Wendy about, like, being erased from all of existence and stuff, right? Which, with Wendy, it's not like she wants to die, right? She wants to escape as in, like, probably, most likely than not, right? She just escape normally. But like,
one toe out of line and I get threatened for it. I get turned into a frog. I get left floating in the void. Hell, I get threatened to be erased from existence because of you.
Yep.
And you get to run off like you're innocent?
At the same time, though.
No more. No more, Rev.
I
can't live in this world with you in it, so I'll make sure you won't be.
Wendy, stop! You don't know what you're doing.
Who the hell cares? I don't anymore.
Damn it! Wendigo, don't!
What creature? I knew he was gonna do it. assuming she's gonna wish to get rid of it.
Now grant you your greatest wish.
Oh, to be flesh and bone again. I've spent far too long formless in that void.
What is the meaning of this?
There you are, Cthulhu. You've spent far too long playing amongst these humans. I hardly even recognize you anymore.
Sathoth, you monster!
Oh.
Leave Miss Indigo at once!
You don't command me, child. I'm right where I belong at last. You, however.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. Oh, there has to be a second season. We're literally almost done.
Students, run!
Now with him out of the way, I'll destroy this curse of a school by finally dealing with that principal of yours. But first, I'll deal with the unworthy creature who defied me.
Yep. He is a nonconformist after all.
Back off of my roommate!
What?
Yeah, what?
You stink! You're a big, stupid bully! Yeah, and you don't belong in this world!
There's Mark's crash out. We were waiting for this.
School. It's not a curse. It's the only place where I found somewhere to belong! It saved me! And it saved Rev too! So I won't let you hurt it! Or him!
Hell yeah.
This is your moment? Seriously?
Yeah, even I was saying, like, oh, it took them long enough to give Mark his own crash out moment as well.
What is
We
this
might have enough time for them to get saved, honestly.
little vampire going to do?
Oh, me? Nothing. I was just the distraction.
Distraction?
Sarah, let's go. Yeah, at least I was correct.
Sarah?
Because that was my original idea for the show, that was going to end with Viviana having to fight Sarah. But, I mean, if it is Sarah versus, like, the void creature Sathoth, I mean, I can deal with that, too. Because, yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm pretty sure she's the most powerful out of all four of them, honestly.
Mark, protect Rev and Bella.
You got it, Sarah. Wait!
You think one meager angel is enough to stop me?
Guardian angel.
Let go of me, vampire! No, man! Sarah said that kind of monster could kill you, for real!
Oh, dear.
There's gotta be a way out of here. Maybe a vent. Or, I don't know, something?
I trusted you. After everything I told you. After I told you the truth, you do this? I trusted you, Rev.
And that's the thing. Trust and accountability are one of the big things about Bella that we already know. So this absolutely, right, it would hurt her. Like we said before, it is an aspect of betrayal that even, she would never want to feel. Right?
Now it's
Ever
happening again.
Honestly. Yeah, like she's reminding it.
Bella.
No! I'm not gonna let you lie to me again, Rev Bennett. I'm not making that mistake twice.
Yep. And again, completely justified considering the trauma she's been facing.
Dudes, what is up with Wendy?
That angel's getting her butt kicked. She's totally gonna lose.
What?
We're all gonna die!
You're already dead, you fool. You gotta do something, Rev.
The hell? What are you all looking at me for?
Hello? You're the guy!
Yeah, when it comes to school disasters, you're the professional.
You literally started a zombie apocalypse.
And you straight up murdered a dude at tryouts!
Which rock, dude? He fed me to a hellhound.
And he helped me make a burger.
And influence. Yeah, influence.
Come on, Bounty Boy! Come on!
Rev,
Do something! Do something!
Come on!
Rev!
Do something!
Do something! Please, I'm begging you!
Just make it stop. Just make it stop. Just make it stop.
Whoa. Where are you going, Rev?
I caused this. For once, I'm gonna clean up my own mess.
Rev?
I'm sorry, Bella.
Oh, here we go. Final battle. Oh, yellow blood, nice touch.
I'll admit, your power is a lot more than this Wendigo's body can handle, Angel. However, you never stood a chance.
Go
to hell! Tell your creator to send their best. I'll tear their wings off with my own bare...
Hey. Hands off my guardian.
Rev, go! You have the audacity, Revenant. I'll give you that, but that's about all you have left. In all but a single moment, you won't even have it in life to speak for.
Seriously? You're going to let the Void Monster do your dirty work for you?
Oh.
What?
Come on, Wendy. You've wanted this all semester, haven't you? Don't tell me you're going to pass up on your perfect chance to kill me yourself.
What are you doing?
Let me kill him! Let me do it!
Foolish vessel, do not defy me.
Or are you going to let me get away with it again?
Fine! Finally.
Gotcha.
Impossible! No mortal alive or dead should be able to wield this much power!
I'm sick of everyone telling me what I can or can't do. I'll spill every drop of my blood if it means proving the world wrong.
Foolish boy, we want the same thing.
Yeah, not quite. I want some of that life I'm missing.
No!
Move! Move! Oh my god.
Rev, please, no, don't do this.
Turn into a vampire. No way we lose.
Am I human?
The most human. By far.
Good. That's good.
Oh.
No! Come back! You can't leave! You were supposed to stay!
Sarah... He's...
No! It's not fair!
Oh my god. Oh, Raven, no. Going to, yeah.
Good girl.
Hell yeah. Ah.
Come in, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, no. Final conversation.
So, you actually came when I called for you.
You could have just as easily teleported me.
I could have. But I knew you would come.
Of course you did.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Bennett, how was your first semester here at Kade?
Horrible. This is the worst school to have ever been conceived. The entire student body is made up of monsters that kill and maim for fun.
That's what makes it different.
The staff are a bunch of apathetic psychopaths, and our one good teacher got sealed in the void.
Oh, they just didn't get rid of
I already handled that situation.
Okay, good.
But please, continue.
Alright, that makes sense.
And at the center of it all is you. You knew what I was going to do. And you knew what that Wendigo was planning. And yet, you let it all happen.
Yep.
Indeed.
Why?
It's all the good of the school.
Mr. Bennett, I could shield every student in this school from harm.
But then
I very well could do the same for all of humanity.
Lack of free will, I would assume.
However, a property of humanity is endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Endurance in the face of strife,
I would argue endurance
of
is
adversity,
a part of free will,
of
but it also
even
makes sense as well.
insurmountable odds.
Absolutely.
Were I to prevent the events of the dance from unfolding, well, I do believe we wouldn't be talking about it now, would we?
Close. Well, if you were, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Everything worked out exactly as I had planned it. It looks like our game is complete, Mr. Bennett. And I, the victor.
Hell yeah.
Wrong.
Oh?
Our game's just begun.
Hell yeah.
You think I'm rehabilitated? And that I suddenly love this school for all the good it's done for me?
Yeah, we can't do that.
What a load of crap.
That's not realistic.
I'm not just some piece you get to move on your board. You don't gotta pull the strings and have a perfect, predestined end come to pass.
Yep.
Because I'm not a pawn, Kincaid. And I don't ascribe to your idea of fate.
Yeah, you're like the most non-conforming person ever to be conceived in this entire position, so... Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense you wouldn't let that happen.
Anything and everything you stand for, I defy it.
Yep.
And as long as you keep me and those other freaks here, I will always defy you.
Just as it is.
Ah. I look forward to it, Mr. Bennett.
By the way, what happened to Wendy?
Oh? Are you asking out of morbid curiosity? Or perhaps something else?
Why ask? Know the answer.
Worry not, Mr. Bennett. That situation has been handled as well.
Hell yeah. I'd love to see it.
Hey, Sarah!
Hi.
I can't believe the semester's over already. I'm really looking forward to winter break.
Okay.
I'm heading home to Romania to visit the fam. How about you?
Similar.
That's cool. Hey, if you ever wanted to come over.
Don't make plans without me.
Hi, Rev.
Hey, dude! I was just wondering where you were at.
Again, always the first to instigate the conversation. Only when it comes to Rev, though.
I was just talking with our insufferably all-knowing principal. What were you two talking about?
What are plans? Do you have any?
Oh, no. See, apparently, stealing the Necronomicon and ruining a dance gets your break privileges taken away. So, I'm stuck here.
Unacceptable. Mark, let's go blow up.
Relax, Sarah. I don't care. In fact, I actually see this as an opportunity.
Opportunity? For what?
To scheme.
Ugh, I really hate that face.
It is very creepy.
Hey, wait here for a bit. Don't go home yet.
Hang on! But my ride's already here! I can't really... alright, I'll wait!
Hey, do you have a minute?
I guess.
Cool.
Accountability.
Is
Most people.
this, how you wanted to spend that minute?
No! Damn it! Just let me think for a second! I did mean it. Everything I said.
I know.
Then I'll get out of your way.
I don't think I'll ever forget the faces of my classmates. I killed them all, Rev. Even the ones that did nothing. I'm going to carry that pain for the rest of my life. But you made that burden just a little bit lighter. So, I wonder if sharing it might make it easier.
Exactly. That again. That's what I've been saying about both Bella and Rev. Is that it is the similarities that draw us into these social areas that we construct for ourselves. And again, like within these social areas, we have similarities with those that we care about. That's what I was saying. Is that I think the best way for her to deal with those entire situations is to find others that are like her as well, right? Because I even said that like she can definitely do what is good and like try to recreate this kind of friend group as well, but like there's always going to be that small part of herself that always refers back to those entire instances where she did something like wrong or something like that, right? Because again, like her hyper responsibility is always going to stay with her. That's part of her character, right? That's part of her personality, right? But again, like it is an attribute that can be molded into something constructive versus self-destructive. Because in a sense, she was self-destructive just like Rev was, right? But in a more psychological and mental level rather than physically in this case. Although physically, you could argue, he was planning on letting the ghost just take her life and stuff. But again, I still find it to be something that is incredibly important in terms of just the way that we deal with our given situations too,
Or, forget it. I was just being weird anyway.
No, it makes sense. I mean, we'll have plenty of time next semester, right? Lab partner?
Hell yeah.
You bet.
Here, let me walk you out. It's gonna be really boring while you three aren't around to bother me.
Oh, knowing you'll keep yourself entertained.
I'll do their own.
I'm hungry.
Then we should all grab a bite to eat. Me and Sarah can give you two space if you want, though.
Shut up, Mark.
Yeah, shut up!
Aw, man.
Hell yeah. That was Freak Show. I don't think there's anything actually else after this, right? Yeah, no, that literally is about it, honestly. Oh my god, this entire series, oh, that is such a good ending. Actually less action-packed than I expected it to be since the very beginning of the pilot. But oh my god. Loved this episode so much. Great finale. Again, I don't know if they're planning on doing another one. I would assume so, since, Mr. Lovecraft was literally sealing the void. So I'm assuming, and it said first semester, which I'm assuming is just their way of saying first season. But again, if this was the final one, amazing thing, right? But again, there's definitely a lot more we can do with all these characters. Mark, I loved his involvement in this one because, oh my god, it literally just developed him so much, right? And it makes sense. And I even said before, like, I think Mark is the least developed character, or at least defined. I don't really know what to really do with him in terms of his analysis, beyond what we already know. But oh my god, it was such a great series, honestly. I love it, right? It took me a while to get through everything, right? But absolutely, this episode, I think this episode's going to be up there in terms of just the way. I think in most finale episodes, it's either hit or miss with these kind of shows, but like, so much good that we've done, right? We took so many notes with all these characters. And again, if you do a second season, I'm definitely going to keep this whole thing for me here so like that I can always refer back to it at the same time. And again, like all these characters that we've gone through in this entire like little mini adventure of ours, it's been a fun time, honestly. And I definitely really do enjoy it at the same time. And, I think I said this before that I think Freak Show is definitely going to be a renaissance for Minecraft roleplay series again, honestly. And there are many great YouTubers out there, Isabox, for example. And while Afmao isn't doing it herself anymore, like, again, like that origin led to creators like Rick Cypher and stuff like that. And just, you guys did such an amazing job with this series, honestly. And there's so much to just analyze with a lot of these moments, honestly, as well. And I'm glad that they didn't just like straight up kill off Wendy. Like I expected her to use an Necronomicon once it got brought up. So I'm glad that some of my theories about it did get correct. But honestly, amazing show, and I absolutely love it. Right. Again, from here on out, like I did say before, I don't think I'm going to be doing a Belladonna analysis, but I definitely will be doing a Wendy analysis as well. And yeah, I mean, from that entire situation forward, I think it is part of a great reaction series at the same time, honestly. And I don't know, I think it is going to be really cool, right? I'd love to go through an Isa box reaction for one of her main series signals, but yeah, honestly, we'll keep looking at these things as well, right? I think this was an amazing, especially analogy for suicide and how we continue going forward with it, and going forward with our sadness and stuff, and how that can adapt by surrounding ourselves with people who do care, honestly. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride at the same time. I'm a bit tired after recording for so long now, but I do enjoy this, and I hope you guys enjoy these videos too. Again, next one should be, I believe, the Wendy analysis coming up next. And any other series, please definitely tell me in the comments and posts whatever you want to whatever you want me to analyze, whether it's games or animation or whatever the case is. Typically in this channel, I do focus on more niche content, things that aren't covered by anybody, either because it's unknown or whatever the case is, right? And definitely like indie pilot stuff are like big aspects of what I plan to do as well. But like, we're going through with Monument Valley analysis, Wendy analysis, and such. And yeah, I honestly can't wait to see you guys for all of those things. So until next time, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have had an amazing